we've been over this. I really don't like you. I don't want to play. I'm only here because Pete requests it, and the sooner I can get away from the lot of you, the better.
Why are you being so mean? That is so horrible.
Good afternoon / lunchtime / evening, everybody, and welcome to this, the 11th episode of this complete monstrosity. I think it's got out of hand now. Is double figures officially out of hand? I think
Double
it probably
figures.
is. Double figures. I'm your host. I'm not your host. I'm one of the hosts, Sheffy. There you go. Glory straight at the beginning. Who else is here? Get on with it. Say your name.
You've not even said the name of the podcast yet.
That would have been flawless if you'd actually come in on your cue and saved me.
No, we like the dead air. It's funnier for the listener.
This is, speaking of dead air, this is the Juggernaut Bolt Action podcast for all things Bolt Action and most things Juggernaut. And actually, we've got a pretty good podcast for you today. We've got loads coming up. We're going to talk about our tournament and how that went. We all generally, spoiler alert, pretty well. We're going to bring out your filth on a guy called Gordon. Gordon's alive again for this podcast. We've got a great big rag for you. We're going to give you just a tip on cavalry, and we'll probably finish it off with some hobby blobby lobby hobby blobby blah 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 blah. It should be good.
That sounds awfully organised.
Yeah, far too organised. Who's this Sheffy bloke, and why is he so organised?
Aye.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Gaz version 1.1. No, seriously, big thanks to Gaz for stepping in and sort of being me. You're not as good at being me, but it was much appreciated.
Are you saying he's discount Sheffy?
I think discount is being too generous. I think he's like back of the lorry 5-finger discount Sheffy.
He's more cucumber sandwich, Sheffy.
Yeah.
How was it listening to us as a listener rather than a host? Like, because you can review the episode from an outsider perspective rather than just being like utterly biased like you normally are from being one of us.
Bearing in mind, your job is still up for debate, so be nice.
Well, it reminded me just how much I hate you all.
Nice.
No, it sounded good. Actually, it's when there's only 3 people and Gaz, who didn't really say anything. When it's the 3, the voice levels sound better. But that's just boring technicalities. Is that sad? That that's the thing I noticed? Nothing to do with content. It's just it was a bit less all over the place with volume levels.
I'm just happy to say I'm the only host that won't ever go missing, simply because no one else can be asked to record and edit this shit. So I am the master, and you all must bow before me.
I mean, I could record and edit this shit, but half the content would be missing without you here.
Fucking effort, mate.
You've got to remember, though, that the talent always have to have the roadies, so thanks for your sacrifice.
Oh, there's always fucking one.
To be fair, like, Toph and Pete are the most roady looking.
I do
the most work.
I do look like the guy that like pulls the chain that brings the curtain up. And then Pete does look like the guy who sits at the front of the orchestra, in front of the computer, pressing the lights buttons and doing all the technical stuff.
You look
sure
more
the
like
sound's all right, yeah.
you look like the guy that actually goes into the crowd hunting for fat women to bring back as groupies later on.
No, Pete's the guy. You know when you're at a festival and you're sitting in between acts and you're bored out your mind, so you're sitting there talking shit, and then some fat guy comes walking onto the stage and just goes,
Test.
check.
Pete and Toph, if you combine them both, like if you put them both in a particle accelerator and fired them at each other so they fuse, they'd look like the bloke from the World of Warcraft episode of South Park that has the sword of ultimate power.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I missed you guys. It's good to be back.
So, right.
He's coming loaded tonight.
So, other stuff. Not One Step Back went well. We're going to do our review, but we've got numbers from the guys who went, so it's not going to be our numbers. It's going to be like their numbers. So you can't tell us off for being biased when we get 5 out of 5s everywhere, because we're absolutely amazing.
And they might be correct numbers, because someone else did them.
We'll see. Other things that happened, or are going to happen, we've got our next outing as the England team for Bolt Action coming up at the end of the month. We're going to the... Except Sheffy. The Home Nations tournament is being held in Nottingham at the end of the month. It's one day. England versus Scotland versus Wales versus Ireland.
Yeah, there's a lot more riding on this one.
I mean, this is national pride at stake.
Yeah. World Cup's one thing, but fucking Home Nations.
I'm going to let my racist white nationalist flag fly.
I didn't know you were bringing Nigel Farage.
Yeah, I'm going to bring Nigel Farage hats. I'm going to be all down on England is best.
Instead of getting Nigel Farage hats, can we just have pictures of Sheffield on our t-shirts?
Yeah, and we'll get the Boris wigs out as well.
You'll have to speak like Boris. Go all the way through.
I'm shooting this.
That'll be fun. We've also got Aces High charity event coming up in early September. So that
is that the one that's the really cool idea with the really stupid points?
Yes.
Okay. Gaz is running a charity event down in High Wycombe, and it's nice and silly. I think it's 4 games, 600 points, or is it
617?
17 points.
Oh, because it's
a free air observer for everyone.
It's like an RAF joke or something, isn't it?
Yeah, 617 squadron with was it Dam Busters?
Dam Busters.
I'm glad somebody remembered.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna turn up and have some fun. So there you go.
Are you going to take a warplane?
No, I was thinking of taking a Tiger in 617 points. You know, and being
so you get shot by your own plane?
No, I made a list which was the fuel shortage Tiger, and then like 3 or 4 of the little machine gun bikes, and then maybe 1 or 2 squads in Horch armored cars, and it's the little field cars, and it looks really silly and fun.
Have you got pintle mounts on those field cars?
Maybe. I'll sort.
I was looking.
Observer, shoot the thing!
He's got a Tiger. He should be glad he's just got other models on the board.
I looked in theory at doing an SS defensive list that was half the points were spent on bunkers and defensive emplacements.
I can just about fit in 2 Panther terms. Like, I won't win anything. I'll just make sure the opponent doesn't win either. That's literally
that would be a successful shithousing.
Yeah,
this is an exceptionally long preview.
It is. Other bits I wanted to cover. I'm checking into my notes now. Guys, can I just say that I am the best painter on this podcast, as I have officially won. I have won in the downtime between episodes. I've won my 4th painting award. Best painted team /
Good
army.
joke.
It was best theme.
No, it's best painted. Everyone voted for it. Okay, so just to add it all up,
I didn't vote for it.
I've won, and I have on my shelf awards for a best painted 40k army award, a best painted bolt action award, another best painted bolt action award, and now a best painted Blood Bowl team award.
I will say one thing. When you give head, it must be the fucking best, because you cannot paint.
I can paint. I can.
Just reference. I voted for Dan in the Blood Bowl. His team looked awesome.
They looked awesome, but they just evidently didn't get as many votes as mine did. So
it's because I didn't vote.
Well,
I'd like to put forward that I actually won you that painting award for being in your team.
I did name one of my players Petty Pete after you, Pete, but you know, and I wrote swear words onto his uniform just to make sure it was you. But yeah, I am the better painter, and it's fine. You know, people go to our podcast page, they see my Polish Lancers on the top, and they go, "Oh, they look really cool," because Toph painted them. It's fine. You sit there cheating with your airbrush, and Sheffy, you spend 2 hours painting a single, like, I don't know, little backpack, and I'll sit there and paint armies, and it look really cool, and I'll win awards because Toph is best.
What's next?
Guys, I'm back. Sorry, I just disconnected and went and had a dump while Toph was going on. What did I miss?
Oh, nothing that wouldn't upset you.
Just a lot of bullshit from a liar.
Almost as much bullshit as went down your toilet.
Gentlemen, if you've seen our armies in person because you've met us at tournaments, please come in and judge who's better painted, me or Dan, and make Dan cry to his face.
Full stop! Don't look at mine. Just
don't include Pete. That's Pete's paint's the only thing we can all agree on.
Yeah, my Japanese don't look great. My second Japanese looked better.
Yeah, your SLF looked good. So yeah, finally, before we move on, I'm just going to say no what the fact segment this episode.
What the fuck? What the fuck is up with that?
Only because we've got a few specific, like quite specific bits of feedback or comments, so we're rolling them into their individual segments rather than doing them on their own. So there will be some feedback and questions and comments and bullshit, just not in its own segment.
I mean, I've already got my yelling at what the fuck out, so I'm good now.
Okay. Are we all good?
Yeah, man.
Chef, did you remember to wipe?
Yes, I wiped my butt with your best painted award, because that's what I think of it. And every time you bring it up, it is a disgrace, people. It is a complete disgrace.
Contrast paints really helped you, didn't they, Tove?
You can do it too with Can Do. There you go, with contrast. Cool, right. Let's get this party started.
And here we are into the Captain After Actions data crunch, something along those lines.
Wait, what? Captain After Action data crunch?
Yeah, it's an after action and a Captain Crunch's data munch.
Lieutenant Snack's data whack. That's like a demoted version of Captain Crunch. Lieutenant Snack.
Lieutenant Snacker Whacker just sounds a little bit...
Snacker Whacker. It's like a Pac-Man, isn't it?
Off I go to update Urban Dictionary.
So, we recently first held our own bolt action event, Not One Step Back. I think it was great. What about you guys?
I think for a first go, it's pretty good, actually. I mean, we have experience of running tournaments before, but this was our first bolt action one, and it went pretty smoothly.
I felt the tournament organising was really weak, particularly from the host team.
You can tell when the tournament went well though, because the TOs are bored in between the rounds because there's just not much going on because everyone's just playing their games nicely and it's all good. We
had so much fun during that mid round.
Me and Pete actually managed to play some Crash Team Racing on my Nintendo Switch while other people
played some foosball.
And some foosball. So yeah, I think it went really well.
I photoshopped a picture of your face over Ainsley Harriott.
And I just walked around looking at people's tactics, just going, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that." Ooh,
yeah, we just got Dan to do all the hard work. That's why. Dan hovered like a drone over Pakistan.
Wow.
Swish.
Didn't want to go over for the Gulf, right?
Oh, fuck it. Keep going.
So what we're going? 5 out of 5 everywhere?
Well, I mean, sure. There's definitely opportunity for improvement, but
yeah, we can get like a 10 out of 5, right?
Well, so what's the official Juggernaut
Yeah,
review?
so scores on the doors. We didn't really want to review our own event all at once and give our own scores because that is insanely biased. No surprise. So we gave out feedback forms to everybody that went. Out of the 26 there, I got 19 back. So there's 7 people that just didn't bother, which is fine. So I'm gonna actually play. You can guess the score. Now I've rounded up. Rounded as you do with maths.
From 1 to 5.
So
what do we think we got for venue from the players?
Well, so the venue was in the school. Was it not school? Church. School of God. It was in the School of God. That is the church.
Yeah. Propaganda factory and choir boy procurement centre.
I mean, I think we filled it as much as we could do. We
can fit a few more in there.
I think at most we could fit a 30-man tournament in there before it started getting a bit squeezy.
And smelly.
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't too bad with the because if it had been the 38-degree heat it was the week beforehand, we'd have all died. But luckily, it was rainy and quite cold on the actual Saturday, so at least though we got a little bit toasty, as it tends to do in a gaming hall, we had no real stinkerthons. So either we got very clean people, or we just managed to survive.
I think people were very well behaved. Like, judging from the litter that I picked up afterwards and stuff people had left behind, there were a couple of cans of deodorant there, so people at least thought about it. And I'll tell you what, you wouldn't have had that at a 40k tournament.
But
Right.
yeah, we didn't supply alcohol, so that's an immediate markdown because School of God. Um, but we did have
But you did
toilets
get to save your
and
souls,
stuff.
so
Yeah, we had toilets. We had a kitchen, and we supplied melted ice lollies as well as drinks on demand. We had a side room for everyone to have their lunch in.
Yeah,
Parking
it was
parking
good.
for everyone.
It was good as the nominal host because it's the building I work in. It sort of it felt like we couldn't really have done anything else with the building, and so I don't know. No, are we guessing score? I reckon
Yeah.
no one would have really punished us for that. I reckon one or two people might have put 4 because of like lack of access to things like a bar. There's nothing we can do about it, and the fact it was a bit cramped. I don't know. I'd be suspecting it's up in the high 4s, 4.7, something like that.
Nah, I'd go lower than that. It's what you would expect from a tourney hall being hosted in a scout hut, effectively. It was the bare minimum to get a tournament off the ground. There's a lot more you could do with that, so I'd go with a 3.
But I think that the standard that's being set by other bolt action tournaments is not necessarily that high. So within people's frame of reference, it's as good as any of the others. Yeah, I just can't. I suppose it depends what you consider a standard result.
So Chef's gone 4.7, Toast's gone 3, Dan has gone
I'm going to go 4.
4. None of you got the exact score. The exact score was 4.58.
Really? That's not bad.
All of the 4s given, I think at least 5 of them mentioned there being no bar. Thank you very
You
much.
can tell their listeners.
Sorry, there's nothing I can do about that either. Jesus is watching.
Yeah, well, you could turn water into wine to just go to the taps. I'm happy with 4.5, you know? And rounding up, because that's what you could do for full scores. It's a 5, lads! Way!
I mean, I did 0.5s when I added up for other tourneys, so we can
Yeah,
we can stretch to a
right,
0.5. Yeah.
4.5 is a very solid score.
Yeah. Sorry.
The thing I thought would have been marked down for is it was a little bit hard to get lunch around there, and we didn't provide a buffet, which we probably will do next time.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I think it's got everything you need. So
Yeah, not wanting to sort of draw back the curtain on the Wizard of Oz and sort of reveal the secrets. A lot of the ticket price that we had to charge because the church venue and I work there is cheap was just being able to get the terrain and the tables to be able to run an event of that size. Next year, because we won't have to do that, the price of the ticket will be able to cover things like food. And drink. So we'll be able to do stuff like that next year without having to pass it on in the costs. Obviously, we want to make a bit of profit for the club as well. I'm sure nobody's going to begrudge us that. But it's sort of that's why we didn't have those things. We did free tea and coffee, which is better than some places. But yeah,
the church might want a bit more of the profit next year as well. Let's be honest.
maybe. I think
It's a church.
the thing is, Kirby Muxloe Church, which is where it was, the church I work at, is in the middle of a small village. So it's got one quite nice but massively overworked deli and a one-stop. So it's not the best place. You have to get in your car and drive 10 minutes to find a Mackie D's. It's not near anywhere.
We are in the middle of country bumpkin land, quite literally. It is the heart of England Tory voter Brexiteer. Hey, look, I can see a cow in a field. Lands.
Not quite. Not quite as bad as that, but it is the heart of England. Yeah. So terrain. What have we got?
See, my Englishness and my self-depreciation is going to come straight to the forefront here because I'm just like, could do so much better. So much better. Like, it was functional, but we was scraping the barrel to get it all together, especially when we got kind of left in the lurch. We had to do so much in like the last 2 weeks. So once again, I'm going to go another 3 because I wasn't particularly proud of what we put on as terrain. I expect more from myself. So
no, I agree with Toph. I would have said it was just above 3, like 3. I'm going to say 3.2, something like that. I doubt we'd have got any 2s. I don't think it was actively bad, but it's completely standard. It was the Premier Inn of terrain.
The Premier Inn.
Yeah, like there's nothing wrong with Premier Inn. It's not like
I think
Camelot.
you're doing yourself a disservice there because I think probably half of the boards were good quality terrain, especially the ones that we've had for quite a while that we've stolen off of everyone that they've donated to the club. And I think the other half were ones that we've cobbled together in the last few weeks trying to get it all done. But it was all painted. It was all cohesive as well. So all the boards had a theme to them. So it's not like you just got the middle of a snowboard and then all of a sudden you've got a pyramid stuck in front of it. All of the boards actually matched everything that was supposed to be on there. So I think we're going to be about a 4.
Oh, he reckons a 4.
Well, I think about it this way: if a 1 is like the Warhammer
GT.
Grand Tournament, the London GT, where they had polystyrene blocks on the boards, and
One's
if a 5,
generous.
is Akhtar's house, you know, the
Tasmanian guy, yeah.
the Tasmanian guy with amazing terrain. If like 5 is his house, then I reckon we're in the middle.
Ooh,
I will say
reckons a
though,
middle.
I took all those pictures and I did all those videos on Facebook, so everyone across the world who's interested in what we do could have a look. And we didn't see one comment of, "Oh, where's the rest of the terrain?" which is normally the comment you see for tournaments like that. And I'm really upset because I just wanted one little internet warrior to get really upset at the Wolfenstein board because it's a bolt action tournament and it had like it had
Crash
bunkers on it,
spaceship.
crash spaceship, it had like a Nazi research lab on it, and not a single person going, "That's not very historical." And I'm really upset because I wanted that argument to happen on the internet. It didn't happen.
Oh, so the actual score, Chef and Toph, you did yourself a disservice, and Dan was too low, 4.4.
Really?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Guys,
Yeah.
be more brutal than that. If that's all you're expecting, there's no incentive to do a better job, and we all can do a better job.
However, despite me asking everybody to make sure it was full numbers, somebody still came with a 4.5. I think they were just trying to wind me up.
I
Lowest
think
score on there was a 3 though, so there was a 3 hanging on.
I do think though, although the boards weren't necessarily the prettiest, they were for the most part very functional. In that they,
Well-
you know, when you see those boards and they look really amazing, and you try and play on them, it just doesn't make sense. At least because we're kind of gamers first, we kind of set them up in such a way that it would create a good game. At least,
Well,
yeah,
if you think of a 3 out of 5 is functional terrain that looks okay, and I think half of the terrain was functional and looked okay, and half of it was functional and looked really good. So you average it out, it's about a 4 overall. I think that's about fair.
Yeah, it's like to compare us to Cambridge for a sec. It's like one of the first things we did when we got to Cambridge, like other than helping them get the tables out and stuff, is we all went round and looked at all the tables and we went, "I want to play on that one. I don't want to play on that one. I don't want to play on that one." Because I don't think you could have done that very easily at the Juggers because they'd have all have been sort of like, yeah, they're all okay. So
Well, we had an airfield board with actual terrain on it, so we deserve a 5 out of 5 just for that.
oh yeah, do you know what? They were all 6 foot by 4 foot as well.
Yeah.
They weren't like
Shocking,
wonky
shocking.
sizes.
mate, I brought a pyramid. What more do you want?
None of them had a road without obstruction going from one side to the other.
No.
It's
Wow,
glorious.
none of them really. Oh, can't be having that. Let's go and get an obstruction quick.
That's good for terrain. That makes me feel quite good actually. I generally thought we were worse than that, and I would have rated worse as well. So,
Did anybody find the swastika painted into the building?
what?
No.
No. What racist thing have you been doing now, Chef?
No, it wasn't me. One of you guys. The buildings that were all painted at Pete's house. You said that one of them had a.
We very lightly airbrushed a swastika onto one of the ruins.
Wait.
floors.
Airbrushed. You very lightly airbrushed a swastika in, Daniel.
I think you did it when I went for a wee.
I didn't touch your airbrush.
Thank you.
I don't
It's
know where it's
very
been.
nice. It's very nice to be on the non-racist high ground. I'd like to stay here.
I was going to say, like, we talk a lot of shit on this podcast, and we really put ourselves out as kind of, like, I could never run for office. I could never be an MP after launching this podcast for the shit I've said on here.
I could. I mean, Bojo made it.
Legitimately having a swastika on our terrain, though, really pushes us over the line in a way I'm not happy.
It was part of a if you spot it, you get a prize, and no one did.
Oh.
I did tell everyone at the start of the day as well.
Did you?
He did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
You weren't even listening to your own TO. He did mention it.
I obviously shut myself off to blatant fascism. Who knew?
Well, I shut myself off and buried myself in the numbers. So.
I do not approve of this.
Talking about TOs, what do you think the TO score was
Depends
0.
which TO you're talking about.
Bunch of cunts.
overall?
So, was the TO score specifically about us and the way we ran the event?
It was about the entire team of TOs in there. So it was us 4 and the coffee boy we got in.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I'd like to say...
Hosting and rules, lawyering, and all that sort of stuff.
I'd like to say we either got 5 out of 5, and then whatever Kalo did that made it go lower. So sort of like... 4.
Existing?
I don't know. Given that I've underestimated it every time, I'm going to say flat 4.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go for a 4.75. I think we're right up there. I think there were one or two that think, Sheffield's a racist bastard. Kayla didn't do a good job pouring tea, but I think the rest of it was fine.
I bought everyone ice cream out of my own money.
I was
You got your own money as well?
Yeah.
You fucking idiot.
He's the only one of us with money to do it.
I was 25% of that judge team, and I'm distinctly unlikable. So
and that's just from the other guys in the team.
Yeah, I'll definitely have dragged your score down just for being there.
So you're going for a 1, Toph, yeah?
I'm going for no. Let's go for a 2.
Ooh, really?
No,
yeah, number 2 is what I think of when I think of Toph.
No, I'll go. I'll go for a 4. I want to say 3, but I feel like I'm being too low every single time. I need to stop being so mean to myself.
Okay, so just to give you some context, only three people didn't rate us as a 5.
Ooh.
So we got 4.8 overall.
Ooh,
wow.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
I was well happy with that.
As I say,
one of the feedback things did actually point out that we should have probably made Kalo wear some kind of bright yellow hat or something to say, "Don't ask this idiot about rules."
we did.
High-vis. We should have given him high-vis.
We did say right at when we was planning this to all, because obviously the Juggernaut Gaming Club is more than just us, and we said, guys, don't wear your shirts, leave them for the the TO so we're easily spottable. Everyone went, yep, that's fine. Kalo, who doesn't even normally play ball action on a normal day, turned up anyway just to hang out in his fucking t-shirt. Kalo, one job.
He had one job, and it was coffee bitch. He did it very well.
I mean, at the start of the event, in the announcements, I did say, ask anyone in the black shirt if you've got a question, except that guy, he's a fucking moron and doesn't know anything. I did make that extremely clear at the start of the day.
But next time, put him in a high vis.
Yeah, we'll have to do it. Or a stupid hat.
I'll have to put him in a pinny and an apron next time so everyone knows he's the tea bitch.
So yeah, I was ecstatic at that. So next one. Now this one's a bit close to Toph's heart. This rules pack.
6 out of 5. It was the most amazing rules pack ever created. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it, and everyone should adopt the Juggernaut format going forward. It's the superior tournament system. Next.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll give you some spoiler, Toph. One person did actually rate it as a 6.
Yeah. Who is he? I want to take him out for dinner.
Luke.
It was Gaz.
Was it Gaz? Mwah, love you.
I can't quite tell you because there's no names on the feedback forms. It's anonymous.
Oh, that's a shame.
I would have said it was about. I reckon people probably gave it 3.5 or 4, but I don't think people thought that it was bad. I think that there were a couple of people who, like, oh yeah, go on. I was going to be nice and charitable, but no, I'll be brutal. A couple of people hadn't read it properly and sort of were a bit confused by some of it because they're thick. And,
what? Probably no punches. Wow!
It's that they have projected their own incompetence onto us.
My swastika on the floor isn't looking so bad now, is it?
Jesus, Chef's back with a vengeance.
If you read the pack and still got it wrong, seek help.
Wow.
A number for you to call will be available at the end of this podcast.
It's right at the start when I was doing the announcements. I was like, "Has everyone read the pack?" And everyone went, "Yes," nodding yes. Topher read the pack, and I was just like, "At least half of you haven't." I know for a start, at least half of you won't have read it.
To be fair, it wasn't the selector. I think everybody got that and everybody liked it. It was a couple of them hadn't read the missions through in advance. They just assumed that the missions were the same, even though the selector was different. And so there was a bit of they had to call Dan over a couple of times just to clarify a couple of things regarding the missions and a slight confusion, which I think is fair enough to say is our fault. We calling the tertiary objectives like tertiary objectives or whatever they were, just left people a little bit more confused than they could have been. We could have made that clearer. So I think it'd be fair to say we didn't get it flawless. The selector, I think we nailed, but the communication of the missions and the scoring could have been communicated better. It all.
I was going to say
I'll put my hands up
scoring
for the scoring. I will put my hands up for the scoring. I made quite a generic thing, and then realised that the tertiary split into 2 after it had all been printed and it was ready.
It was just on the score sheet. It was divided into victory points and then like objective points or something. I can't remember exactly what it was worded, but people would put in the same score for both of them rather than doing for the first one should have just been, did you win the game? Yes.
Yeah. So
and the next one is, how many kill points and objectives did you score? Then it should have been, did you kill a tank and an officer? Done.
Yeah, exactly. It was.
I think there was a bit of confusion on that.
Yeah, it was. Did you win or lose, as Dan says? To what degree and how did you win or lose was the secondaries, and then the other one should have been, here are the interesting things that we're tracking just for spot prizes. But by calling them objectives, people were a little bit unsure, and the score forms didn't help it. So we'll hold our hands up and say, yes, we could have communicated that better. But at the same time, you should have read the pack and you should have known in advance. Get good, up your game, tournament attendees.
Said, at least,
so what's your guess, Sheffy? Come on, while you're on fire.
I reckon it was pretty good. I'm going to say 4.
I was just going to say, at least, although we do hands up, the scorecards weren't up to scratch. Because we spotted that straight away and kind of admitted, they're not up to scratch, it meant every single time we saw a game end, one of us would run over and help them fill the form in. So I think we can at least pat ourselves on the back that we was definitely on top of trying to plug the hole, if that makes sense. So at least if there was any problems, they shouldn't have been with scoring. And I don't think we heard any complaints about scores going in wrong. No one came back going, I should be 4th and you've put me down as, 7th.
No, the scores were all correct. It was just a pain in the arse for people to try and fill it out with, especially because of the confusion at the start. So I'm going to go for about I think I'm going to go for 3.5. I think because of the confusion, it was a bit of a sour note.
Well, Toph is wildly too high. Dan is wildly too low, and Chef is close enough. 4.6, and that's with somebody scoring a 3 to drag it down.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it was very good because it was, even if it hadn't necessarily been communicated as clearly on the forms, anybody who asked got exactly the same answer, no matter which one of us they asked. So one of the good things was, perhaps this is blowing our own trumpet a little bit too much, all 4 of us knew exactly what that selector and that rules pack said. So if they asked
hands up, I never ever got to see anybody at the end of a game because I was furiously entering scores.
So can we take a time to discuss the actual Juggernaut selector itself and the missions?
Yep.
And how we think that went? Because I think that's the most controversial part about our event, is that we kind of threw the whole rulebook out the window and went, this is how we're going to do it. And I know at the start there was a lot of kind of when people looked at it. So how do we think that actually worked in practice?
Version 1 of the Juggernaut selector I thought worked well enough. Version 2 already being released, it's probably the bits that were needed.
I think it worked really well. I think it made a lot of armies more competitive, especially Germans, because we all know that Germans have all the toys, but they don't really have any substance. And I think a lot of the German players did really well. I think it added an extra level of not depth, but almost theme to the armies, and there were a lot of themed armies there that looked really good and were still competitive. I think overall it was just a step in the right direction for how you should choose and build your forces.
Yeah. No, I'd go even further than that. I really, really like our selector because from our perspective as like massive bolt action gamers, the thing that makes it weak at tournaments, that makes the game weak, is while you've got a huge selection of different theatre selectors, there are only 1 or 2 that are particularly good. So you go to a tournament and everyone takes those. So you might, on the face of it, it looks like there's loads of variety, loads of option, but the reality is there isn't, because so many people are advantaged and so many people are disadvantaged. So by broadening it out and allowing everybody that flexibility, but within quite tightly constrained limits, what we got was more variety between army lists than I've seen at any event previously. And it doesn't mean that they're completely bonkers either. Not many people went min-max on things that you traditionally see at tournaments. And it meant that people took things that you just never see. Like,
when you've got a more level playing field, it doesn't really matter if you choose an outlandish unit every now and again, because it can still be effective. Whereas if you've got, your 500-point Tiger compared to the 320-point Tiger that was in our event, when you come up against 3 Russian bomb dog squads, you're going to have a bad day. Whereas if it's only 300 points, you're still disappointed if you lose it, but it's not the end of the game, is it? Because you're not half an army down straight away.
Yeah, we should say we've started using the Juggernaut selector as sort of our standard playing at the club as well. Like when it comes to going to other tournaments, obviously we'll have to get some practice games in using the selector the other way. But it's really nice to be able to do things like take squads with LMGs in and stuff because you're incentivized to do it. And we really like it. So we've put it publicly on the Bolt Action Facebook group, our selector, with a couple of tweaks after the tournament we ran, because we're saying, actually, we'd like to give this to you guys. We genuinely think it's good. And we don't think we're naive to think that. So you should use it.
Didn't someone say they were using it at one of their events?
So
yes,
yeah. So following on from the event, we're the first people to critique our own work, and there's a few things we wanted to improve. So there's a couple of changes we made to the pack and some of the missions as well. And then I've released it as a standalone document. And yeah, I think there's an event. A guy messaged me. I think it's in Cheshire. And he's running his own tournament, and he's going to use our pack. And I think there's some interest from other parts of the world as well. Like I think there's one event in America that might be using it, and one in Australia too. So although it's like, oh look, it's a Juggernaut format. Oh, you're turning it into like ETC or something. I'm not trying to like dominate the system or something. It's just like genuinely, I prefer to play games using that selector, those missions, than the ones out the book. So.
It stops the having to ban Stalingrad, having to ban certain theatre selectors because you don't have access. Just tough shit. There's your selector. It stops the imbalance between. Let's be honest. There's a lot of Russian and Japanese selectors that are insanely good next to kind of average US and German ones. It stops the imbalance in theatre selector selection and pulls it down to one, and without making everybody's army exactly the same and very boring.
And one person taking one anti-tank gun and the other person rocking up with 5 Stuarts. And you go, well, this is going to be a fucking good game then, isn't it?
Yeah, and what was I going to say? Oh yeah, and in the absence of a V3, although sort of there are rumours it's on the way, Warlord only have 2 options in regard to the FAQ. We know which option they've taken, but they can either comp nothing or comp everything. There's no middle ground that they can take. And what our selector is the compromise. In the absence of comping each individual unit and saying this is when it can be used, this is when it can't, you just have a generic selector that fundamentally changes the way you select units. And that seems a much better compromise for balancing the game than either of the alternatives.
Yeah.
However, you will always get US players complaining that they don't get their bar for free for a full squad. Get over it. It's a bar. It's 5 points. It's a bargain.
Well, after the event, I actually went back and emailed all of our sponsors to thank them for what they were doing. And obviously, Warlord Games was one of our sponsors, and I was in communication with Simon Tift, who's like the head communication
manager.
Yeah, community manager. And I emailed him our format and our tournament pack and selector and said, just so you know, this went down really well. Take a look at it, and just watch this space, guys. If you use it and you like it, just let people at Warlord know, because they've got a copy of it. They've been told that it's worked really well. Others are interested in using it already. So if we can get some momentum behind it, it might become the default.
The tournament special.
And if we can get Toph into a job at Warlord Games, he can provide our club with massive discount.
Oh,
so
no, you don't want me in that sort of role. Jesus. All I will say though is my dream is to be able to go to a tournament someone else is hosting, running this format, because I love Bolt Action and I want to use this format, but I'm the one TOing it. So if someone else wants to TO it, I'll jump along and join in. It'd be great.
Yeah, we should say it's sort of an extra bit to the after action report.
Yeah,
it's kind of related. Is the thing that was hardest for all of us was we all really wanted to play.
The thing is, we all had an army on us because we were there like, we need a ringer army, and we're all sat there going, we've got an army, can we not play?
We need next time we'll set up a table up on the stage, and then we can just sit there and play.
Yeah. Right, so next category before we get too sidetracked, atmosphere.
I think it was fantastic. There was no saltiness all the way through the event.
Grimes.
Yeah, well, yeah. Actually, the face of defeat. Apart from that, there was one game where there was a bit of confusion over what was supposed to happen, so that was a bit salty. But other than that, the other 27 players had a great day. So overall, I think that'll be a 5 out of 5. I think it was great.
Dan reckons a 5.
I'm going to drop.
Well, everyone enjoyed themselves, didn't they?
I'm going to drop us in it now. So everyone had fun and everyone had a great day, and I've not heard of a single person tell me they didn't have fun, didn't have a great day. However, 2 people independently from each other told me that they'd had an issue with a single player who looked like he was doing some shenanigans. Nothing major, but just small little things like quoting rules wrong and then being adamant even though you know they're wrong, and then just quietly removing pins from units when he thinks the opponent's not playing. So basically someone just cheating just a little bit, being a little bit shifty, not playing to the spirit of the rules. But both players, even though they saw it, they went, "Oh, I don't really want to make a scene. It's not going to affect the outcome of the game. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to say anything." And that really upset me. One, because someone thought that they can come to my tournament and play like that, and in which case, fuck you, you piece of shit. You're ruining everything about this game that everyone complains about competitive players. It's all fucking you, you cunt. That's number one.
Wow.
Say what you feel.
Number two is that really upsets me that people didn't feel that they could say something, because like if you ever speak your mind and say, seriously, I think this guy's having me for a run, me as a TO, I'll back you 100%. Even if it wasn't. If it's made in good faith and you're calling someone out, even if it turns out it's fine all along, you're not going to get any repercussions. You know what I mean? And finally, because those two people had the same experience with this one player, neither of them mentioned it at the time, which meant he's obviously done it to two players. Did he do it to the third as well? Did that guy just not come forward? And if the first person had said, "Hi Tove, can you come over and watch this game for a minute?" we could have stopped it, and then that wouldn't have been two other players who would have been affected. So it really upset me. And now, because this was all made after the fact, I can't really do anything about it. I can't even really I can't really even call this individual out and say you're not coming to my next one, because then that's not fair, because you're not having a chance to defend yourself. You can't just go, "Oh, you're not coming to the tournament because two blokes said that last time you was a bit of a cunt," because that's unsubstantiated as well. So that's just left a real annoyance on my part. And it would be really easy for me to not mention it and just pretend that everything was perfect. But that wouldn't be being honest, and that would be kind of implying. So that, although everything else was perfect, that little incident, it really just got my goat and ground my gears.
It didn't matter in this particular case. But if that person had been the recipient of an award, to find out subsequently would have been it would have left an even poorer taste in the mouth.
Yeah.
So the only reason I'm not as annoyed as Toph is because me doing the scoring. Me doing the scoring, I knew exactly where that person was in the table at all time. I nowhere near the awards, and I was like, okay.
It's the sort of thing that gives competitive gaming a bad name. And that's what everyone. When you say, "Oh, I'm going to a wargaming tournament," that's immediately what everyone thinks of. It doesn't have to be that way, and that one cunt will ruin it for everyone. Now, I know both of the guys who spoke to me afterwards in conference, and they're not going to be affected by this. They're good friends of mine. They're war gamers through and through. Screw that guy, right? But the third guy might not be the same way. The third guy might be like, "This is the first time I went to, and this guy was just a complete and utter bell end, and just it really upsets me."
To put a more positive spin back on what's going, not on what was done, but on the event as a whole. 1 out of 26, that ain't bad.
I guess, but what about all the others I didn't notice? You know what I mean? It just throws everything into doubt.
And just as a going forward, if you're at an event we're running and you're thinking maybe I may be being had here, you don't need to literally call the guy out in front of you, and you don't really want to cause a fuss. Just come over to the table, TO table, give one of us a little nudge, and we'll see.
I mean, well, it's exactly the same as if you've got a rules dispute, isn't it? Yeah. If both of you think a rule is worded slightly differently and you both got different opinions, you go and get a TO. If you think this guy is cheating and doing something wrong, you just get a TO. It's exactly the same principle. It's not like running to tell the teacher because so and so farted on your leg or something.
You don't even need to be so blatant about it. You could literally just have a quiet word. "Hi, I think he's having me on. Do you mind standing and watching for a bit?" There was 4 TOs. There's plenty of space. I'd have happily stood there and watched a game for half an hour just to see if there's anything dodgy. You know what I mean? So
half the time we were stood there watching games. Cause...
we were very bored. So, but yeah. So although atmosphere overall really great, that's just put me right down. So I'm going to give it a 3 now, even though I personally feel it should be a lot higher, but I can't get over that. So
have I rated it? I reckon.
No, you haven't yet, Chef.
4.5.
4.5.
I saw a grown-ass man with a huge beard, wearing a leather jacket with biker tats, eating an ice lolly and looking like he was blooming 5. It was glorious.
So, out of all of you there, Dan was the closest. We got a 4.8.
4.8?
Yeah.
Isn't that like the highest we've got so far?
For atmosphere.
As in, like, for each...
No,
In one of our
it's the same
topics.
It's the same as the TO score.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, I think there was.
So there you go.
One,
Even though we had
3 people didn't.
even though we had one cheating scumbag, it didn't affect the overall tournament.
Very
not
nice.
not
And
that bitter.
now the one that's going to be close to Dan's heart, because he was Dan the Man, Dan Boy, and Rodney all in one. Price.
If this is lower than 5, I will be astonished. It should be. I reckon a few people have given it a 6, so I reckon it'll be 5.2. The prize support, like we had Dan for months in advance telling us about all this stuff that we were getting, and I could not believe how much stuff we were getting. And
we had £1,000 worth of prize support.
And then he bought it all on the day, and it was just boxes of stuff. Like Dan and I were setting it out on the tables the night before, like to show people what the prizes were going to be, and there wasn't enough space. We didn't have enough table space to put it all on. It was utterly fantastic, and that's after we like skimmed all the stuff we wanted off the top.
No, there was no skimming. We were very grateful for all the sponsors, because that sort of support for our first event, fantastic.
Well, I was in touch with the sponsors after the event, and I've already got 7 of them to sign up again for our next event.
Bloody hell!
Excellent.
I know.
It made me laugh when at the end when it turns out, I think it was when the last person pulled his number out, and then for some reason I think there was a mixed match, and then one of like the little piles of prizes for that number hadn't gone, and Dan just went, "Oh, don't worry, mate, I'll sort you out." And there was even more. Yeah. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
Well, I kept some stuff back in case I'd done it wrong, and I think one of the prizes had fallen onto another number. So I think someone got like 1.5's worth, and someone got half's worth. But luckily, it was one of our friends, Ian. So I'd kept a little bit back just in case anything had gone wrong. So
yeah, we should sort him out. We should say, for those of you that weren't there, we were really inspired by the last couple of Cambridges we'd gone to, where everybody got a prize. And what we really wanted to do was not just reward the winners. So positions 1, 2, and 3 got something a little bit different, a little bit better. But everybody else, it was random. Like,
I wouldn't say that at all, because first, second, and third got a certificate and the nipple trophies. Then they got the generic prizes that everyone got. So everyone walked away with a little model with some tufts in it. They'll have gotten either some tufts or a box of infantry or a 3D printed vehicle. But then, for instance, some of the random raffle tickets further down, one of them had a £50 terrain making box set. One of them had a £40 fully painted church from one of our one of our terrain
Ministry of Buildings.
Yeah, Ministry of Buildings.
Good shout.
So, other ones down the line had £20 vouchers plus the tufts and the model and everything else. So coming first didn't make a jot of difference.
Well, fair enough.
And the GT ticket also went to the first player, but they already had it, so we had to go quite far down the table.
Did it go to the 5th or the 6th person in the end?
It went to 5th placed overall because the first 4 had already got it.
No, 5th place didn't get it. It went further down. I think it went down to 7th.
Wow.
Because the first 6 already had one.
All right. So I know the first 4 definitely did, and in the end I was just like, "Fuck it, who wants a ticket?"
It's really hard because I paid for mine.
Yeah, but Jeffy, you actually
I went down the list and was like, "This has this player got one? Yes, this player's got one. Yep. Okay, this player. Yep. This one's got one. This one's got one. Oh my God, we're getting down this table now." But it did go to 7th because 1 to 6 already had a ticket or a free ticket that already won. So it's just like, wow, okay. So
right,
what have we got for scores, Dan?
Scores. I'm going to give it a 5.1.
Ooh, edgy.
5.2.
Yeah, we got that. Toph?
I'm going to go for a 4.5, specifically because I reckon there'll be one person who went, "Ooh, I won and I only got a stupid certificate."
You mean Luke?
Yeah, Luke. Slimy git.
So we had one person put a 4 in.
What a cunt.
2 people put 6s in.
Yeah, boy.
Everybody else had 5s, so it was an overall 5.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I'll take that for a full score.
Yeah, but it's maintaining it, isn't it? That's going to be the
Yeah.
difficult bit.
Yeah, it's
Good job, Dan.
Next year, you're getting fuck all, you bastards.
you know it's like an erection. The first thing's getting it up. The second thing is maintaining it over an hour.
It's like me just
That's
being
what-
pleasant. I can handle 5 minutes. I can't handle like an hour.
Yeah.
That's good though.
This guy being pleasant for 5 minutes, showing off.
Yeah, man.
So overall, out of 30, if we had all the points in, we're at 28.38.
Wow. Wait a minute. Doesn't that put us at the top of our own score?
I believe so.
If you ignore the 3-8, I think we equal the first round of BBAL.
That's it's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oops.
I think we need to discount ourselves from that table, but we can just all keep the smug, satisfied knowledge that it doesn't matter how good anything else is, it won't be as good as us.
It's almost like what you get by being reviewed by people who are blatant fans of ours because they listen to our podcast enough to come to our stupid tournament. They may be as nice as we are.
So that officially puts us top of our own table list here. Closely followed by the British Bolt Action League,
Where we should be as well at the top.
obviously.
Juggernauts don't play second fiddle to no one, Paul.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
You know what? He doesn't shout back. He doesn't shout us out that much anymore. I'm really sad.
Aw.
There used to be a
Is
time
this
where
all
every second syllable was about the Juggernauts, and now
Is this pod still going?
He's
It's
gone very
because-
quiet.
It's
Yeah,
because you were
I
on
haven't
it.
for
Like,
years.
you've killed the viewership.
I
And all
did.
the
I did kill it. There we go. It was infiltration, destroyed our rivals.
Wow. Harsh. But does Paul not love us anymore?
I'm sure he does. It's Dan he hates.
Yeah, he
really.
probably
But
does.
he loves the rest of us.
That's right, you
He
don't
doesn't
know my
hate Dan,
real
he hates
name.
Dave. He hates
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah.
Dave Lane.
Anyway, before we go, we did receive one email with like long form feedback. If you want me to go through it.
Can we
I've
just do
got
one
the long form feedback that we got on the event, if you want,
Okay, let's do that.
that we actually applied. So the penetration scenario, there wasn't enough points for getting into the enemy's deployment zone.
Yeah.
Fix that now.
Fixed it.
Victory points and scoring. Explain at the start as most were confused. Yep, we got that. You know, understand that back because let's be honest, it was a bit of a shit show on my part. Otherwise, they say the TOing was fucking awesome. Everyone did their jobs. The screen and the PA were great.
We had a microphone, and I think Sheffy got a little bit too happy using it. Yeah.
You mean you didn't get enough microphone time?
I didn't get enough microphone time. I'm the goddamn leader of this podcast. Fuck you up.
You're such a diva.
It's like having bloody Mariah Carey.
you would not believe the amount of effort that went in a couple of days before, just moving tables, literally the Friday before this, and then there was chaos on the morning of and the afternoon where we double booked and stuff, and so I was like a headless chicken for the 24 hours before it.
Well, we were there like 2 days before, setting everything up as a dry run, and then the day before setting everything up properly, and then the morning of rearranging everything on the morning because it weren't quite right.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, just one thing I wanted to say as well. About 3/4 of the way through the day, we, if you've listened to the pod before, I think it was last episode, we talked about a guy called Andy who was just about getting into bolt action, and you know, it was listening to the pod and buying the bolt action stuff was the impetus he needed to get out and meet new people and, you know, brave the new world, so to speak. And he actually turned up to the event just to come and say hello and check out what was going on. So, yeah, so Andy, thank you very much for coming down. And since then as well, he's actually turned up to one of our club nights. This week, was it? He played Pete and got his arse handed to him.
The way we teach bolt action at Juggernauts is play by the rules and don't go too easy on them, because if they get easy wins, they start getting a little big-headed.
Yeah, don't worry. I absolutely crushed Pete at the game of Blood Bowl afterwards, and he conceded.
Yeah.
So he got his karmic retribution at my hands afterwards.
No, it's good. It was nice playing somebody new, seeing his different take on how to run things. He was using the Juggernaut selector. He was quite happy with it. Went over some bits and bobs he maybe could have done differently. But
And as soppy as it sounds as well, it's nice to actually make a difference to someone and have a positive impact on someone's life rather than just calling everyone cunts.
But what if everyone is just cunts, Dan?
Well, they are.
How will they know if you don't just call them? You know what I mean?
They are, but some of them are cunts that struggle to get out of the house, and some need a bit of pushing.
Yeah, I mean, if we're helping people get out of the house and actually get into a hobby and meet new people, then I'm all in.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right, so this email we received, last bit before you change topic, guys, I promise. So this was from Michael Rainsbury, who came 3rd place at our tournament. 3rd place ally winner.
With his first
3rd place allied,
ever.
7th overall.
3rd place ally. Well, I think this was his first ever tournament, so...
It was his 2nd, 3rd and 4th games.
There we go.
Wow.
So, Michael, hi all. Just thought I'd give you guys some feedback from the event. I'll mix in the positives and the critiques so you don't just skip sections. Fucking dick, that's what I was going to do. A lot of my feedback is in reflection of other events I've been to, none of which being Bolt Action, but predominantly Games Workshop run and independent Heresy events. So basically, I think he's been 40k player in the past and he's come to us for Bolt Action.
To be fair, the Heresy events are very well run.
Yeah. So, the event was really enjoyable for the size of the venue and the number of players. It felt comfortable, and I didn't feel like I was being pushed up against other players. As someone with a fat ass, I understand that, which is why we tried to give people space to fart and rub and shove each other in all that.
Me and Tho for fatties. We need fatty room.
We actually measured if there was enough room between tables by me and Pete comparing asses by putting tables enough and seeing if me and Pete could bum each other while gaming, and that's how we knew there was enough space.
You two do that a lot, even when there's no boards around.
Mate, it's great. He carries on. I really like the sideboard space between the match, which allowed for trays, books, drinks to be left out. So we tried to make sure there's a bit of space between each table, so you could have your dead pile, effectively. It'd be silly to comment on the heat in the hall. This is not in your guys' control. I was just grateful for the nice breeze running through all day. Yeah, we left like every door and every window open to control the heat.
Yeah, we were there. We were there on I think it was a Friday night. We were looking at Sheffy, begging him like, "Is there aircon, please?"
Yeah. A nice touch was giving out bottles of water throughout the day, and although I didn't take one out of choice, not a dig, the ice creams were thoughtful, but they did all melt, and that was hilarious. Watching some people, I had to get my ice cream and just put it in a bowl because it was just going all down my hand. The scenery was good, and each board I played on was varied. I wasn't a fan of the pyramid on the last table. Fucking what?
Boo.
As I felt this took a 2-foot by 2-foot chunk out the board, and with the first mission having to capture those 4 objectives, just created a massive speed bump. Yeah, I get that.
It's called having to develop tactics, mate, and think around the terrain.
I mean, a lot of that comes down to your matchup as well and what your current army is. So if you've got a really slow army and they're running rings around you because they can lap around the pyramid, yeah. But I kind of like it just personally when I've played on it to kind of throw people off.
It's a centerpiece. It throws people off. It's not a normal building.
I mean, maybe once I get more terrain, I won't have to use up a giant 2-foot by 2-foot section of the board with a pyramid.
Hey, it's a 2-foot by 2-foot blob that you can point a multi-launcher at by classifying it as a building.
No, impassable. No. Don't do that. Don't be silly.
No, it's not a building. You can't go in it.
But yeah, fair enough. It maybe just wasn't that. It was that particular mission on that particular board on that particular round. Maybe it was just a bad combination. But fair enough. Point taken. Times of the round were great, and I finished with plenty of time in 2 of my 3 games. I came across a nice range of skills levels of opponents, and no list felt particularly powerful, each having a clear advantage and disadvantage. Yes! Perfection!
We did it!
Bearing in mind, I did go up against the 2 Tiger list with only a Sherman and 6-pounder for anti-tank. Yeah.
Unlucky.
I mean, he only had 5 dice, and, Michael still won, so there you go.
Again, if you only take 1 anti-tank against a tank platoon or against double tigers, whatever, that's your fault.
Yeah, but the guy with double tiger spent 700 points on him, so fair enough.
Yeah.
You guys as a team seem to work well. Might have been worth pointing out the Juggernaut who wasn't a rules guy, just so he wouldn't get bombarded with questions. I did point him out. I said he's a fucking moron, and Kalo, you're a twat. You ruined it for us. You knob.
Get my high-vis jacket, it'll be fine. Kalo, keep showing up. We need a T-boy.
The event was good value for money, and the prize support was top-notch. Boom. Great. Come back from the event having learnt a lot of the game, having played a total of 4 games now, already planning a new force for the next event, and very much on board with travelling the 2 hours to play a game. Thanks for all the hard work, and we'll be back to smash face next time. Brilliant.
Nice.
Good. I'm very good on him for coming 7th for his first tournament after 1 game.
Oh, does that mean if Pete's right then? That means he got the GT ticket.
No, he didn't.
No.
It was the guy. I think the guy finished.
He did.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
No. There's a guy above him, so it was 6th place.
Yeah, it was 5th or 6th because Russell was. 4th.
It wasn't 5th because Russell was 5th.
No, Russell was 4th.
No, it was 5th. I've got the scores up. He was 5th.
No, don't put Russell in touching distance of a podium. Russell, it was 3rd loser. It was Luke, Justin, Sean,
Dave Island.
Ah, right. Yeah, got you. Yeah.
He's talking to the guy with the score sheet open.
Guys, the scores are available on the event page for anyone to look. The end. Right. Any closing points for Not One Step Back before we go on to topics anew?
It was fucking great. Come next year.
Yeah, we're going to run more events.
What do we do next?
We're hoping to do a doubles tournament by the end of this year, but the dates might be a bit of a squeeze, but we're going to try and fit one in.
Oh!
So we're going to try and do maybe 600 points, and you're going to have a random ally each round. So you can't design a list thinking you're going to go with your best mate, because each round you're going to be forced against a new person. Should be pretty damn interesting, but we haven't got a date yet, so watch the space.
And don't worry, I'm already crying, because scoring is going to be a nightmare.
Yep, and it's still Juggernaut Selector. Alright.
Alright.
Any final points, Dan? Cheffy?
I need a cup of tea, mate.
Just that it was pretty good for a first event. So next time, 30 out of 30, please, guys.
Boom. There we go. Right, let's go. That section was a long one, so let's go on to Bring Out Your Filth.
Bring out your filth!
Bring out your filth. We've not done this in a while, actually. We've not had this section for a while. So this is inspired by listener of the show, Gordon.
Gordon's alive?
Gordon's alive?
Gordon's alive!
fun
Wait, is it my turn? Who the fuck's Gordon?
You never watched Flash Gordon?
Yeah.
Sweet Jesus, sort your life out.
He saved every one of us.
He might one day just stop messaging us because he doesn't want this every single episode. Otherwise, maybe
he might like it.
Yeah, maybe he does like it. Maybe he wants us to come to his a family event, and every time he stands up and does a speech, we would just be like, Gordon's yeah, whatever. He
does it just because he knows he's going to get a shout out because of the Gordon.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so he messages, gentlemen, thanks again for your high quality content podcasts.
You're welcome.
Nice. We're high quality, boys.
You continue to be a vital source of new ideas and in-depth unit analysis. Wow. Does he talk to his mother with that mouth? God.
That's what's going on in the back of our book, soon to be released.
He talks to Sheffield's granddad with that mouth.
He goes on. I'd like to submit a 1250 Russian double platoon list for your review. I also know that Topher has yet to decide which faction or list he wishes to take to the next big tourney. We all know that Uncle Joe Stalin will be disappointed if Comrade Commissar Buckle does not represent the motherland. Perhaps this list, long in development, containing elements learned from Topher, James Faulkner, and the Spanish Poznan team, which I've been playing and tweaking in different forms, will be of service. So, sounds like he's doing his research.
That's good research to do as well.
Yeah, so this is a double platoon. One of the platoons is a Sea Lower Heights Theatre Selector. The other platoon is a tank platoon. So that's a combination that most tournaments don't allow, but I'm just assuming in his area of the world, they do allow it. So good for him. The Sea Lower Heights Selector, he's got 1 second lieutenant inexperienced, and then 2 of the machine gun stewards, because Sea Lower Heights allows 2 tanks. 2 6-man tank rider squads, regular, 1 for each Stewart tank, 2 tank hunter teams, so they're the little 2-man teams. Each one's got 2 SMGs and a Faust, and then he's got the free squad. So that's the first bit. Second bit, second the tank platoon, he's got 2 SU-76 regulars with medium AT ammo, and 1 SU-76I. So that's like the fully armored version of the SU-76, which is the command tank. Another machine gun, spammy Stewarts. And 7 tank riders, and then a quad Maxim truck. 1250 points. So
Holy shit.
6 vehicles, 14 dice, 3 machine gun spam Stewarts, tank riders, and then some SU-76s, which are, if I recall, light tanks with the medium guns that can also fire like light howitzers.
Aren't they light tanks, medium howitzer, and if you take it, also medium AT gun?
Yes. Yeah.
That's fucking fair.
I was going to say they're really good all-rounders. The only downside is they're only light rather than mediums.
But it means they're pretty cheap. They're only in like 125 points each if you take them open tart.
I mean, the fact that that's not allowed at most tournaments is
Probably for the best.
why? Holy shit!
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole point of the tank platoon selector obviously is that you take the tank platoon so that you don't just take another platoon to take all the infantry and kind of get around the fact that armor platoons need to bring transports. But he's only gone and used his other selector to get even more tanks. So, no, all right, fair enough. Yeah,
It's nuts. I mean,
will
that's
say
so
straight
many,
away.
so many MMGs.
There's not much infantry though.
No,
Two
I might
6-man.
suffer in a key points
Yeah,
position.
2 6-man and a 7-man tank rider squad, and then his free squad, and that's it. Also, not a lot of dice for 1250, only 14 dice.
It's enough though.
He's got enough vehicles. It's fine.
Yeah, but you'd need to leave the infantry in reserve to keep them alive, yeah? But they're tank riders, which means they're going to go on the tank, right? So they're not going to be left in reserve.
They don't have to go on the tank.
It's true.
I mean, it's scary, though. It's If you don't have enough anti-tank, 1250 points, that's genuinely scary.
Yeah, that is because the Stuarts keep you going down because they're never going to hit if you go down, and then he starts howitzing you from afar, and you're going, "I've got to move."
I do think the tank hunter teams are a bit redundant as well. Like,
Yeah.
I get that they forward deploy, but like, what do you need an extra Panzerfaust for when you're running 3 medium AT guns and 4 light AT guns?
Yeah, because even if you don't pop the vehicles, you're going to pin them with all of that AT.
Nah, I mean, drop them. I mean, each one of them is 40 points. That's like what an entire. You can drop both of them and add 3 Shirker squads.
Look at you with the Shirkers.
This is 36 infantrymen. Like that.
Are the Shirkers even allowed in the Silo Heights?
I think so. I think you take Strafbat and Stilo Heights.
Ooh, good question.
I mean, the Russian book allows you to do everything broken, so I don't see why not.
And do it twice.
Yeah, so no, a good list. You might struggle with objectives in terms of your infantry, but as long as you keep them alive and bring them on later to the game, yeah, should be good. I think it looks good.
It's
if
very
you're allowed at
competitive.
tournaments.
Yeah, it's very competitive. I don't see it losing up against most of the pickup games, but as it's not allowed at most tournaments, you'd have to rejig that around and which side do you drop, you know?
Yeah, the thing is, it will not be allowed at any event, that list.
You don't know what I mean. He's this. So Gordon's from South Africa, so obviously they've got their own meta. So if they if they basically run however many number of platoons whatever, then yeah, go for it. I wonder if this is allowed in their meta, what else does that allow? Because then I'm thinking, well, you can take armor platoons and match them with infantry platoons. Suddenly you can spam everything. You can spam everything, can't you? So it's like,
yeah.
I'm off on one. A Japanese infantry platoon full of bamboo spear fighters with a tank platoon full of tanks. Fucking bring it.
Or just or you want an armored platoon of Panzer ones, and then an anti-tank platoon of 5 Flak 88s.
What about the best unit? Best unit in the game? FT-17s.
Worst unit!
The best anti-tank platoon you can take is the one with 5 ZIS-3s, because it only costs about 300 points, and you just deploy them all on the line and annihilate your opponent.
Are you allowed to take bomb dogs in any sort of real quantity?
In Stalingrad, you can take 6 of them.
Because this one, you could just take double Stalingrad and take 12 bomb dog squads, and that'd fuck this list to high heaven.
Yeah, well, yeah. What would you use against this list other than 12 bomb dogs, which would annihilate everything?
12 bomb sticks.
Just a lot of infantry. Wouldn't bother killing the tanks. Go down.
The 5 ZIS-3 platoon. It depends on what his meta's like. Are they expecting?
Do you know what would be really fantastic against this? Is your Panzer destroyers.
Oh.
No, it wouldn't, because there's too many machine guns. They'd pin me to shit.
This is a job for the MMG team.
No, this is a job for a triple P4 list because, yeah, you've got all those guns, But if you're shooting one of them, you're tiger fearing off one of the others.
Mm.
That Canadian, Indian cheating British list I came up with would do it.
South Africans would do quite well.
Yeah, that maybe.
Sorry.
Because if you can't kill them, you don't give a shit.
Mm.
Sorry, South Africans would do fucking brilliant.
I'll tell you what though, it's a good list because we're thinking about it. So it's hard to judge. Yeah. You need to know what his overall meta is really to see exactly what he would be coming up against, and it's kind of hard to judge because it's kind of very different to what we would normally see. But I will say, looks good because we're thinking, ooh, that looks a bit mean. So
you know how I'd counter this because it's 1250. 3 15-man veteran units of Japs and whatever else. You can't kill all of me. Go away.
He's going to struggle with big vet infantry.
A couple of Panzerwerfers would be really bad against this, or do really well against this.
Yeah,
a couple of bunched up tanks, and then bang, bang, bang. It could ruin your day.
Yeah, I think veteran infantry like South African commandos or Japanese in cover. What's your answer? Because I don't think this list has one.
No, it doesn't matter if you're pumping out 100 machine gun shots a turn when you're only getting 3 or 4 hits and 1 dead.
Like veteran like native irregulars that deploy on the objective in hard cover and just go, "I'm here now. What are you gonna do?" Yeah. I think that's where this would struggle. So get some flamethrowers. Yeah.
See, this list will do really well against your average Tom, Dick, or Harry that isn't bringing a tooled list to go to a competitive tournament. But against a savvy player that's thought about it, it's
tough,
almost,
but it's gimmicky.
It's the usual.
It's almost a rock paper scissors, but you've not quite got the right matchup.
It's the usual eggs in basket, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can the Russians get a hold of the Stuart Satan?
I fucking hope not.
Well, they can take the OT-34 if they're desperate. There's a fair few flame vehicles they can do. Yeah. They can get a.
I'd maybe be tempted if I was Gordon to take out the 2 tank hunter squads and the MMG Stuart in the tank platoon and get a flamethrower tank in, just to give that fuck off away from me, please.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's what I would say. Though the weaknesses would be things that can outfight you tank wise. So if you come up against like Panzer IVs or like a lot of Shermans, it depends what his meta's like, but that could kind of hurt him if his tanks don't manage to do what they're supposed to do. And vet infantry and cover, that's what he's going to struggle with. But otherwise, good list.
Very solid.
It will struggle in general just against a horde as well. If you've got a horde of infantry that you can just go down on to keep it safe every turn and just use the others to gank and dogpile and just get everyone on one thing.
As long as they're not morons, because if they have loads of infantry and just fucking run at him, he will annihilate them.
Yeah.
The opponent of this list needs to make him go for them, not him run at them. If that makes sense.
Safely, easy does it.
Yeah, true that. Cool.
Yeah, so I think for this overall, maybe drop an SU-76, drop the 2 tank hunters, try and add a bit more substance to the list. Even if it's just, like you say, a couple of strap-back squads and then a veteran squad that can run around and do stuff.
Engineers, flamethrowers. 2 flamethrowers and jeeps maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flamethrowers would be a good shout because
they'll
clear out what you.
Options.
I think the the Cedo Heights can take 2 flamethrowers as well per selector. I believe.
Well, almost everything in the Soviet book can take doubles.
Mate, so Soviet book is just full on Stilton. It's great.
Right then, guys, we're on to our next segment now. We are on the rag.
Ranting Angry Gamers.
Ranting Angry Gamers. Just because it's resurfaced quite a lot recently in the past couple of weeks, especially on the poison that is Facebook. We're going to discuss the phrase, "Go back to 40k, you twat."
Fuck off!
So...
What are you fucking playing this game for? Go play 40k instead.
Yeah.
I'm not going to offer an opinion, it's go play 40k.
Oh, you're ruining this game, you are.
Right, that's not ranting, that's just being a bitch. Right. Who wants to start with some concise, thought-out comments, Sheffield?
I genuinely hate this. It's not quite as annoying as people who post pictures of boxes. Still not over that.
Remember to post your pictures of boxes, people. Just not action page.
Like That and Toph winning painting awards are pole and second position. But
also remember to congratulate Toph on his painting awards. No, Juggernaut Bolt Action page.
Definitely, this go back to 40k thing. It drives me a little bit nuts. I'll give you 3 reasons, and you can jump in after that. The first reason is it assumes that everyone's come from 40k before, as if there weren't people who went, I'm not into that, and started with historical figures. Like, go back to 40k. It's stupid, because not everyone came from that way. The second reason it's stupid is because actually 40k is a good game. Games Workshop are a decent company. Yeah, fine, we might complain about the prices and stuff, but we were laughing about it before in sort of the pre-rag. And actually, when it comes to stuff like the FAQ, when it comes to like community support and running events, Games Workshop are just about the best company for that. And they're fabulous. And so if I'm moaning about the FAQ or stupid rules that haven't been written properly, like literally everything in any gaming supplement ever, and if I'm moaning about that, it's like, and they go back to 40k, it's like, yeah, that's kind of my point. 40k is better at this.
The community's a little worse, but
yeah, I'd quite like to. I'd like for, because somehow like 15 years ago, go back to 40k was an insult, because 40k was a horrendous mess played by people who didn't really know what they were doing and was full of people with neck beards and stuff. Whereas now, it's kind of 40k is actually pretty slick. You may or may not like the game because of the way it's sort of a bit rock, paper, scissory and things like that, but so can Bolt Action be. None of the problems that Bolt Action has are shared by 40. So all of the problems that Bolt Action has are shared by 40k. There's no unique problem. And I'll tell you what, 40k, Games Workshop, deal with those problems a lot better. So when you say go back to 40k, actually now that's a compliment. You could say, I wish it was like 40k in that regard. And it's just the snideness as if somehow historical is superior to fantasy games. It's like, people don't say, go back to fantasy, go back to, like, you don't get 40k groups going, oh, go and play historical miniatures. It's like all of the insults that are universal, no matter what gaming community you're in, are aimed at historical gamers. Like, Rivet Counter. It doesn't matter whether you're playing War Machine or 40k or even like an Old West game. You know what a Rivet Counter means, and that's taken from the historical community, not the 40k community. So it's just a stupid insult that doesn't work.
It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. It basically says, it doesn't say go back to 40k. It says, I don't want you in this community, go away. It's not welcoming at all. It's just one of those where it doesn't even open a discussion. It tries to shut the discussion down before it starts because you disagree.
It's the Donald Trump approach to international diplomacy.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't care. It's the fascism of arguments.
Oh, big oof.
Do you know what it is for me? You know, like when you're on like any other internet forum and someone always tries to bring it back to what would Hitler have done, and there's the Hitler effect where as soon as you mention that, you've got nothing else. Yeah, you've got nothing else to come back from. That's what go back to 40k is. It's I've run out of concise, thought out arguments for this now. I'm just going to say this, and that's my trump card, and then we'll all go home and just forget about it. Because there's no coming back from that. You can't rant about, well, I've actually come from 40k to this, and then 40k actually does this better and that better, and this, that, and the other, but I prefer this dice system. You just can't come back from it. It's just that's the end of the conversation button.
You know, it's also people going, I'm going to make this statement, please stop talking to me. That's all it is. They're going to stop listening.
I get this an awful lot. And you know what really pisses me off is the somehow idea that game systems are invented for a certain purpose. It's just like, oh, you're a competitive player, so go play 40k, don't ruin my game. My game's not to be played competitively. Fuck you, man, I'll play this game however I want. People play games for different reasons. Just like, you don't just immediately go, oh, I'm competitive, so I have to like 40k. Fuck that, there's more to a game than just what style of play it is. Like, maybe you don't like the rules. Maybe you don't like Space Marines. Maybe you do like World War II. Who gives a shit, man? It's not no one else has the right to tell you that you can or can't play their game based on some bullshit made up like excuses. Fuck that, man. It's like, I'm going to go back to Pete's point about fascism. It's gameism. It's judging someone for the game they play. And how bullshit is that? We're in 2019. This is the land of the progressive. Fuck that, man. I'll play any game I want, however I want. And there's no gatekeepers saying, oh, you shouldn't play this. Now, I personally don't like playing 40k anymore. You know, if you do, good for fucking you, mate. good, go for it. And you know that system, they have like that whole match play and open play and narrative. You know what? Fucking Bolt Action needs that. Hands fucking down, Bolt Action needs that.
It's one thing I'm actually going to say. Games Workshop are doing fantastically well with their games. They're going, this is how you play narratively. This is how you play open. This is how you play match/competitive. That's your niche. Go and sit in them.
This sounds an awful lot like being gatekeepers, you two.
No, but if you want to play your game, you play your game how you want. But don't try and shut someone down on a discussion that you don't want to get involved in.
It'd be the same as me going, you want to actually play Bolt Action historically? Go back and play Command, whatever that game is.
Chain of Command.
Chain of Command, yeah. No, we don't say that. It's inclusive. You play the game however you want, and the Bolt Action was designed to be open and inclusive and to be easy to pick up and to be game. So why do some people think it's right to just shut other people out the community and go, actually, nah, fuck you, you're ruining my game the way I want to play it, and go and play some game I find inferior. Fuck you.
Nothing bad on Chain of Command. That's a completely different way of playing. I've seen it played. It looks interesting. I've not tried it. But for me, these people trying to just go back to 40k, it's just, how about you maybe come up with a better argument?
Do you know, exactly. One of the things that particularly bugs me is you hear sort of a variation on this. People call Bolt Action 1940k. So they're conflating the two, and they're saying that actually Bolt Action is like 40k. And you look at this and you go, yeah. That's what I like about it. Yep. I like that it's not. I like that it's Hollywood World War II. I like that stuff goes boom, except when it's a naval warfare, in which case you can seriously get out. And I like that it's not realistic. I like that you don't have to think too hard about it. I like that you go, oh yes, this is the way the rules work. I like that they're simple. The thing that was the main attracting point for me to this game was just how simple it was, and that it was cinematic, and that it was good fun. And I think if you're going to say, well, if that's what makes it 1940k, good. That's the same things that attracted me to 40k. The idea that it's an insult is just stupid.
For me, one of the things as well is most of the people that say go back to 40k are the Rivet Counter or Bolt Action originals that started this thing and probably migrated over to it from Chain of Command. If you were to ever play someone that plays Bolt Action that used to be a 40k player, they would probably have more understanding of what you were trying to get out of the game. If they'd probably say, well, do you want a competitive game, mate, or do you want to just have a bit of fun and do a knock around game and have a bit of a themed game and reenact, the D-Day landings and have a bit of a fun time? But no, the Rivet Counts are the ones where, you can't take that MMG team in green because it should have been brown on that day. And they're the ones that always motivate you, say, go back to 40k. It's just fuck off. I can't stand it.
You know what I will say, and this is the biggest point I can make here. Regardless of what your opinion of 40k is, if it wasn't for 40k and if it wasn't for Games Workshop, we would not be here talking about Bolt Action today. Bolt Action and Warlord Games are a company that is built off Games Workshop. If it wasn't for Games Workshop mainstreamlining and popularising tabletop wargaming, we would not be here. Now, yes, historical wargaming has always existed, but not in the state it is today. Today, you can go to any city, any town in the Western world, and you will find a wargaming club. Could you say the same, 30, 40 years ago? Probably not. So
we built this city.
80% of gamers all played Games Workshop at one point. That's why 40k's got such a bad reputation, because everyone remembers it. I used to play that. I used to, Well, if you used to play it, why are you ragging on people, mate? We all started in the same place. What makes you superior? Just fucking drives me up the fucking wall. Those are the people where I know people who've been put off Bolt Action because of those gatekeepers. Far more than people going, it's a bit too 40k for my taste. Fuck it. People can play games however they want. You should see the way I play Blood Bowl. It absolutely pisses Juggernaut Ian off no end because I'm not playing it properly. You know what? Don't give a shit.
To be fair, I know somebody that picked up Bolt Action, played it, ran into a few people going, go back to 40k if you want to play it like that, and then just put down and sold his Bolt Action. It's quite sad.
Very sad.
Yeah, for a community that is on the whole very welcoming, it's and people like that. Yeah, people like that. It's just the one bad egg, the one cheat at a tournament and the one guy that you always get at an event that's like the naysayer. You're going to get it wherever you go. It's exactly the same with this. It's the go back to 40k. The go back to 40k guy is the guy that you just kind of turn away from, pretend he's not talking, and just everyone ignore him until he shuts the fuck up.
Yeah, you know what? If people are doing something that you don't necessarily agree with, but they are getting enjoyment out of it, as long as it's not hurting anyone, leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah,
we've got to have to comment on every single post. You don't have to call everyone out. You know what? Let people be people.
We are obviously quite aware that we don't want to go too far the other end, which is sort of the equal but opposite of the go back to 40k crowd of the I was playing bolt action before it was cool crowd. And we really don't want to be that. So just want to make it absolutely clear. We're moaning about the hypocrisy of people saying go back to 40k. Not that, and it's equally bad to be superior about bolt action. That we like the game. It's very hard. Would any of us say bolt action's a better game than 40k? I enjoy bolt action more at the moment.
It depends what you do. If you consider models, no.
Yeah.
But by far and away, 40k is better. Rule set in terms of like the way you actually play the game, no, bolt action's better. Missions and clarity, no, 40k is better.
Exactly. This is the thing. It's not a question of what's best or not. And saying go back to 40k is just implying it's not as good. And it's sort of like, well, that's not true. They've each got very different strengths and weaknesses, and trivializing it to this degree is exactly the sort of thing that ruins everything. It ruins 40k. It ruins politics. It ruins marriages.
It's like people say, oh, if you're not into the history, why play bolt action? It's like there's more to bolt action than just history. Now, yes, it's a World War II game, but it's also a game with rules and mechanics and play styles and tactics, and you can be into all of those things without knowing a single thing about World War II. Now, should you not be allowed to play? If you would say that person can't play, fuck you, you're part of the problem. Because people can play any game for any reason. Go away.
I was a massive 40k fan until the latest edition when they completely ruined it and it fell off a cliff. But I was a massive 40k fan. I was really good at it. Went to loads of tournaments. Loved it. Started playing bolt action. Instantly fell in love with it. It's a much better game system than 40k. And I wasn't really a history buff, but playing the game and getting more into that side of it and watching other people develop their armies and thinking, oh, what did that do? And oh, what's that? It's actually made me go out and try and learn the history as I go along. So it's not like you can't get enamored with the background to the World War II story, if you like. You can do that. It's fine.
And World War II as a period of human history is the most popular period of human history at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and each one of us came across for slightly different reasons. Like Dan's there saying that for him it was just the rule system was better. He much prefers playing bolt action.
Yeah.
For me, the thing that I couldn't get over, that I had to let go of, was the models. I still, and I know it's a bit weird to say, I still don't like the bolt action models. I still don't like playing World War II in 28mm scale. It just doesn't do it for me. It's the game and the atmosphere and the playing it with my mates is the thing that does it. And so, like, it insulting me and saying go back to 40k just doesn't work, because it's kind of like, on the one hand, yeah, I kind of would. I really like the 40k models, but it's not that. It's not only one thing that defines these games. The other three things outweigh it.
I think if you brought the order dice if you brought the order dice into 40k, and maybe drop the prices of 40k down towards bolt action level, I think we'd all much rather play 40k overall.
See,
no, I'm going to say disagree. I want to play both. I don't think I can envisage being a gamer and dropping either system. Don't get me wrong, I really want to play 40k again, like I did 10 years ago. I really want to like it as much as I did, and I don't at the moment. But I'm optimistic that will change. And I'm confident that the same thing will happen with bolt action in reverse. Something will happen that will make me not enjoy bolt action, and I will go off it for a bit. To be honest, Western Desert nearly did it, but I'll go back to it. And I think that sticking to my guns and doing something that, like, sticking with something that I hate for the simple sake of loyalty, is what football fans do, and I hate that about football fans.
See, for me, the game was being played by Toph and a couple others, and I thought, oh, that looks good. tried out a game, went, actually, no, I quite like that. And then it was all about choosing your force. And it was more or less, well, I don't want something that everybody else has got. Picked out the Japanese, and I love bolt action at the moment. I mean, I have a problem with ignoring large swathes of morale rules, but,
Yeah, we do that for every system. It's fine.
How do I ignore the morale?
I just think everyone should just calm the fuck down and just be a whole lot nicer with each other and just let people live and let people be themselves and do whatever they want. It's true, man.
On the flip side, though, maybe
Comrade
they should be allowed to comment, and we should just be like, ignore and carry on.
Just go. If you don't like someone doing something, just go away. You know what I mean? Just don't comment on it. You don't have to comment on everything. It just really grinds my fucking gears.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Everyone should just love each other and just play nicely and all love dice and models and everything. And everyone should just be war gamers together and fuck this factionalism.
I was just looking to see if I could find my meme generator, but I can't. The one the one with the people sat in pews pointing guns at the back of each other's head.
Yeah.
You know that one? And basically that's imagine you got bolt action gamers, then 40k gamers, and then something else, and then right at the back you've got War Machine gamers, and everybody hates them. And it's sort of
can't we all agree to hate War Machine?
Yeah, exactly. Can't we just all agree that War Machine is the cancer of the wargaming world? From the 2D terrain to the stupidly overpriced models to the unoriginal naming.
Jesus.
Wow. What shots fired at the War Machine community?
I think
shots fired.
Is that a good place to end it? Just everyone love each other except War Machine?
No. One parting shot. If you play War Machine and you listen to this podcast, you're not welcome. Unsubscribe. Go home.
But are War Machine players as bad as X-Wing players?
Are there any X-Wing players anymore?
There's like 4 of them.
They're all right. They've got a special home.
Okay. If you're happy. Right, let's leave it there. Let's go.
So, welcome to the next section of the Juggernaut Bolt Action Podcast, which is now just the tip, our regular, not really, section about giving you some overviews of some of the units in the game that we'd like to give you our advice, our thoughts, and our, what's the word I'd be looking for? Our opinions. The way we use them. Opinions, there you go. We have lots of those, don't we? We're never struggling for those.
Loads of them.
And we've looked at lots of different things so far, but today we're going to be looking at cavalry.
Is today we're going to give you the tip and you're going to go down on your horse?
Except that you can't.
You can go down your horse. It doesn't give you the -2. So, I mean, this is one of our most requested topics, is cavalry, and just the tip. Ever since I started talking about cavalry a few months ago, everyone's like, "Oh, talk to me about cavalry." And the truth is, up until a few months ago, I didn't know anything about cavalry.
We didn't know shit.
No, so I went in balls deep with my cavalry, with my Polish, and now I can talk to you about cavalry. And I think
we can talk to you about playing cavalry.
I mean, I was going to say simultaneously, Luke at Club started using a lot of cavalry. Obviously, you guys have been playing a lot of cavalry. Dan's building cavalry, so we're all a bit horsed up at the minute.
Is Dan going the My Little Pony route as well?
He is. He's getting some for his.
I am. I've got 2 squads of 10 vets.
Was it for you? Was it Bulgarians?
Belgians. Yeah.
Belgian cav. Pete, what's a cav? What is
cavalry?
What's cavalry?
It is a man on a horse, but for the purposes of the game, we have 3 types: infantry, artillery, and vehicles. Cavalry are infantry.
So yes, it's 3 unit
cavalry are infantry with the horse upgrade. They're not their own unit type. Think of them as infantry with a horse upgrade.
On a side note, I do think that is one thing that people always get confused with the rules, is that there are only 3 unit types. You know, like 40k, you've got tanks, you've got bikes, you've got jump infantry, jet infantry, beasts, cavalry.
Just go back to 40k already, mate.
In bolt action, you only have 3. You have infantry, artillery, and vehicles, and everything falls within one of those slots. Cavalry falls within the infantry slot because, quite frankly, they're not artillery. You can't fire your cavalry through a gun. And they're not vehicles.
They're not armoured.
No, because they're not.
Can if you try hard enough.
Well, yeah. So.
So we did actually get somebody at not one step back go. That cavalry can't go on the second floor of that ruin, can it? It's like, well, it's a ruin, so yes, it can go up there.
So let's start from the bottom. So the cavalry rule is normally a 5-point upgrade you pay. Is it 5 points or is it 3 points? I think it's 3 points per dude.
3 points for a squad, 5 for a...
It's a Warlord Games game. It'll be different for different units.
No. You say that,
Belgians
but it's
are 2
actually
points for a horse.
fairly across the board. It's either 2 or 3 points for each man in a squad, or 5 points for a officer.
Okay, so what it does is it means you can move 9 inches and you can run 18 inches instead of the usual 6 and 12. You're no longer able to go down, but you can do a recce move. So if someone shoots at you, you can escape and do a free 9-inch move and then go down at the end. Now your dice goes to down, but you do not get the benefit. So you don't get the -2 to hit, and you don't get the half hits on HE. So
as if you were a vehicle, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering why, it's because you're on the back of a fucking horse. There's no way you can go down.
Yeah. So, and in return, you get every model gets the tough fighter rule. So you get very good in combat, and you can no longer fire You can't fire rifles off horseback, unless they've got the cavalry carbine rule, in which case you can fire them as pistols. So they become quite one-dimensional, which is basically run off and charge shit. You can't sit there like normal infantry taking cover and shooting, and you're also restricted about going into buildings.
You can get off, but then you lose all of the benefits associated with it, and you can never get back on.
At the end of any advance order, you can choose to get off your horse, in which case you remove your cavalry model with a normal infantry model, and then that's it for the rest of the game. You can't get back on the horse.
Yeah, the practical upshot of this is that it means cavalry are a glass cannon. If your enemy is out in the open, and you can catch them with a lucky run move and get in contact with them, and you've got a tough fighter, it doesn't matter whether you're veteran or regular, you're throwing enough dice with rerolls to murder whatever you touch. However, if your enemy is in a building or sufficiently behind cover, suddenly your cavalry are effectively useless because they either can't get in or they're going to lose a lot of their benefits for it. It's even worse if you can get shots on them before, because they're just infantry. You don't get any extra bonuses, you can't go down, which is the normal thing, and so your cavalry are very much one trick.
And because they're on horses, they tend to be really huge, so it's a lot harder to actually get cover with them, because you can't really go get cover behind a fence when you're standing 6 foot over the fence because you're on a giant steed. But
yeah, and like other recce units, you can trap them, you can shoot at them, get them recce, and then shoot them again with something else. Now you can see them in the open, so it's not complete safe.
One thing that does catch people out a lot when playing with cavalry is that they are still infantry, and the only restriction they have is that they can't go in buildings. There is, in other terms of terrain, you just follow the normal rules for infantry, which means, yes, if it's a ruin, you can climb up to the 17th floor on a horse, because a ruin is not a building. They're 2 separate rule sets. One is hardcover dense terrain, the other one is a building. So that caught someone out not one step back when a partisan cavalry unit managed to charge up a flight of stairs. Ooh, you can't do that. Well, you can, because it's a ruin. It's the same thing for like hills, and for barricades, and for forests, and craters.
And for bunkers. You can get in a bunker without getting off your horse.
No, you can't get bunkers. Stop fitting people's lies, Sheffy.
For those out there, if Sheffy ever tries to put his horses in a building, shoot him.
That ruin rule for cavalry is the prime example of Warlord Games rules as written for yes. Should you? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Hang on, you've seen dressage, right? They can basically hop.
I don't remember them doing it in the second story, though.
Does this mean that actually, do bicycles allow you to do that as well?
No, because bicycles aren't moving any cover at all until they dismount. Yeah. So, cavalry. So the way to use them is they're combat experts. They all have tough fighter and they can't shoot. At least they can't shoot more than 6 inches. So for the most part, their 2 upgrades is speed and the fact they have tough fighter. So the best thing you can do with them is run headlong into an enemy and then go and kick the shit out of him with a low tough fighter. However, if you do that, you'll get the shit kicked out of you. You're quite expensive. You're very difficult to hide. And you die just like any other infantry. So I promise you, if you just run headlong into your opponent, you will just get shot to shit. Back in V1, they used to be a lot nastier, so everyone thinks they're the boogeyman. But I promise you, in this version, then they're not as tough.
I will say that they have a specific role. It's not immediately apparent, Their role is to get around the enemy and go run at the backfield artillery, because there's no way that artillery can fight you off.
Speed is definitely a factor.
The worst mistake you can make is taking an entire army off them.
Yeah.
Cavalry are a Swiss Army knife. They're a specific unit with a very specific role, which is
That's the exact opposite of what a Swiss Army knife means.
Well,
Cavalry are a scalpel.
Scalpel. There we go. Scalpel.
They have an exact purpose, and if you use them for another purpose, it won't work.
Yeah, but everyone's got
They're
Swiss
the
Army knife,
perfect
which
glass hammer.
they only use it for one thing. So it's it can do many things, but you only use it for the one thing, which is the knife.
They're the bolt action glass hammer. If you get the right hit, they'll do tons of damage, decimate a unit, and you'll be laughing. One bad roll and you get caught in the open, or one bad bit of misjudgment for how well you think you're going to do in a combat, you're fucked, and you're going to lose a lot of points. Because you got to remember as well, because the best thing that the thing that cavalry are best at is combat. But in combat, if you lose, you're all destroyed. So if you charge in and kill one dude and he kills 2 horsemen, guess what? That 10-man cav squad's dead.
The tempting thing I found, especially when I first started my Polish, was the immediate thing you want to do is just run headlong into your opponent. And if you do that, you'll bounce. The main thing is things like cover. If they're in cover, it's not a good fight because you strike at the same time. You're more expensive than he are. Yes, you might win the combat, but if your unit of cavalry has been reduced by half, you're not going to win another fight, so you've wasted yourself.
Yeah,
your 8 cavalry charge 10 dudes, but you're then left with 1 or 2 cavalry, and the 10 dudes are dead. They've made an up on you.
Yeah,
it's not you going, look, they're dead. They've made the up because they've killed most of the cav.
Yeah, exactly. It's only some armies can do it better than others. There's like Toph's all cavalry, or very nearly all cavalry Polish army. If it gets the jump on you, or you're not used to dealing with it, it's absolutely horrendous. If you have the right board, or you know what you're doing, and you fought the cavalry before, it's an uphill battle for Toph. But some factions have it slightly better. So partisans, whose cavalry can only be inexperienced, but can come in larger squads. Sort of that offsets it, because
they can go reg, but the point stands.
Yeah, point stands. But basically, the thing that I like cavalry in conjunction with infantry. I'd always want a 2-to-1 ratio of infantry to cavalry, because your cavalry can do the job of infantry, but won't do it anywhere near as well. So you're better off using them for, exactly as Pete said, mopping up the backfield, and as a scalpel, hit the bit that you need to hit it hard, and let your infantry do the absorbing damage and stuff.
I think there's only one nation that can get away with running into an infantry squad and decimating it and not being bothered, and that's the Japanese cavalry.
Mm-hmm.
Do they get Banzai?
They get the Japanese nation.
They get the don't run away from combat rule fanatic.
Yeah, you can get fanatic on the SS cavalry.
Yeah,
and
but they're a lot pointier.
I will put a shout out to a Russian unit, the Mongolian cavalry, because they can fire rifles from horseback. They're far more useful.
But they're just like infantry that move faster rather than normal cavalry.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously played against a lot of cav with Toph and Luke at the club, and I think you both started out with a few big squads and found them really, really unwieldy. And I think the best sort of number to take your cavalry in is 6s and 7s, maybe. And you've got, if you're using them in a generic force as well, you've got to use them as a counter-attacking option. So as soon as you think an enemy is getting too close, jump on it with your cav and destroy it. Or, like Pete says, you use it as a mop-up. Get rid of all the small teams, get rid of your mortars, get rid of your howitzers, anti-tank guns, that sort of stuff.
That sniper in the midfield annoying you, go and fuck him up with cavalry.
The special rule I'd want on a unit of cavalry, so far as I'm aware, it doesn't exist for good reason, is I'd want a unit of cavalry without flank, just to get them in the back as soon as possible.
Oh, like the Calcaparcio do for the Finns?
Yes, yeah. So, but
that would be broken.
That
cavalry,
would be OP as shit.
Or like Brandenburgers or something like that.
Actually, I wouldn't care if someone took that, because you can only come on turn 3, and you can't shoot very well when you come on anyway, so you get a turn of retaliation.
Is there any
you get that anyway?
Because there's a national rule that's the US have got, but I think there's another nation that's got it as well, with the no -1 coming on the side. because that might be useful to pile onto a side pistol unit in one turn and then charge something else.
That I know of. But the key for me when I was learning to use my cavalry is because they only do one thing, and that's combat. You need to be bloody sure that you know the combat rules through and through. Just small things like how you measure, like whether you're charging into cover or another. Like you win cover, determining whether you have to go for rough ground. You only measure the closest two models, which means you can pull shit like having a unit of 10 cavalry, have 9 of them hid behind a wall so they can't be seen, you get in hard cover, have one guy poking his head out, then when you charge, because you measure from the one guy poking your head out, suddenly you go bang, straight 18 inches, you can't get, you don't have to go at the same time. And if they overwatch you as you're walking in, if they do a fire reaction, because half of them are behind that brick wall, you're still getting hard cover.
That sounds awfully like the sort of thing that you'd do in another game.
Yeah.
The thing is because cavalry are so squishy and they die so easily, you need to pull shit like that. Because if you run headlong into them, because you've got an 18-inch charge range, it's actually very easy for your opponent to go, well, you're over 6 inches from me, I'm going to fire at you as you run at me. And oh, by the way, you're all really huge models that aren't getting cover. 3s to hit, 4s or 5s to wound. Oh, look, I wiped out 3 dudes. Now, 3 dudes out of a unit of 8 cavalry is the difference between winning and losing a fight. It's as simple as that. To beat cavalry, the best thing you can do is just hide behind a wall. So if anyone charges you, they go at the same time, and if you can help it, put yourself in ambush. So
you've got to think when you're launching attacks with cav, you've got to treat them as if they are infantry, because a lot of people don't actually treat them as if they are. So if you've got a 6-man cav squad, think to yourself, would I do this same charge if it was 12 inches and it was a 6-man infantry squad? Because if you wouldn't do it, then there is literally no reason why you would do it just because you're a cavalry model, because you have exactly the same rules. There's no benefit, there's no defensive benefit, there's no harder to hit rule or anything like that. You've really got to treat them as if they are just generic infantry that just move faster.
It's hard because from a games design perspective, clearly that was the intent of rules like cavalry and sort of, I'm going to throw them in the same basket, bicycle and motorcycle, although they work slightly differently. They're all infantry upgrades to make infantry move faster, and really it's only the addition of tough fighter and the changes to the carbine rules that makes cavalry fundamentally different, and it's meant that they just operate in quite a different purpose from the infantry. And it's odd because that doesn't happen with the other two examples. Bicycle infantry just move and act like infantry, whereas cavalry will have a different purpose. They're not just getting somewhere and getting off, although you can use them for that purpose. A truck is cheaper.
If you're looking at cavalry and you're terrified of them, just say, would you be as terrified as an equivalently sized squad of commandos?
Yeah.
And if the answer to that is that you wouldn't be bothered, then
Look at the squad, go, oh, there's 8 cavs, and then think, no. 8, if they're vet cavs, say, they're 8 veterans and tough fighter. That's how scared you've got to be, that's it.
They die just as easily as the corresponding infantry squads of regular or veterans. So there's nothing special about cavalry apart from the quicker movement.
Good news, if you barbecue them, you can eat the horse afterward.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do with cav is because they're such big models, at least in terms of 28mm World War II infantry, they're quite big models. You can do some real shenanigans in terms of like blocking off areas, because you can't go within an inch of an enemy model unless you're charging it, right? So, which means if you space them out, you can block entire sections off from people being able to come through. Now, if you combine that with recce, you can just say you're not coming anywhere near this objective, because I'm going to block you off, and the moment you try and get near me, recce away. Hey, look, I'm still in front of you. And you can pull some real shenanigans doing that kind of thing. Things I've done this before is when my cavalry's tried to be countercharged, so I've just wrecked behind an obstacle. Hey, look, you still charged me, but this time we go at the same time, and now I can beat you. Stuff like that is real flexibility and maneuverability that most infantry doesn't get, and I think that's the real strength of cavalry, because tough fighters everywhere. That's not necessarily special, but the maneuverability behind that is what really counts.
Can I add something that makes cavalry better than other things, which is just they look really cool. We haven't really talked about that yet. There's something about it, like we talked about earlier, how it's sort of cinematic, and it's the Hollywood game of historical, and it sacrifices some of its realism for just cool factor. And one of the ways it does that is in allowing you to field cavalry. And yeah, fine, the cost of it might be that they operate slightly stupidly on the battlefield, but they look great. If you've got a squad of 10, and if you do them like Toast Polish, where they've got lances with stuff on it, it's sort of it feels satisfying to be moving them around. And I promise you, if you get a cavalry unit and you're running them, it's impossible not to go.
It's a great opportunity for like if you're like playing like a desert army. It's a great opportunity for like conversion to get some camels in there. Yeah, and like if you're doing like Mongolians, if you're doing like Russians, you can get like the cool hats. If you're good at the green stuff in. Yeah,
I mean,
you don't see them enough, really.
Talking about having them run around is one thing I have noticed a few opponents getting caught out with. Not us three specifically, but watching Toph charge a couple of people at club and Luke doing the same at 18 inches. You've got to be very aware that those things over the open ground can charge 18 inches. So that extra distance is massive because somebody who thinks they're safe at like they know it's 13 inches away, but you go, I'm cavalry, fuck you, you're dead. It's great.
Yeah.
Has anyone got any final thoughts on cavalry?
No, I think that's pretty concise.
Just build a wall.
I will just say cavalry's the only unit in the game. If you get a 12-man unit of Polish lancers, are the only unit that can get a plus 24 hit against tanks.
True.
If you roll like a god.
Yeah.
Actually, no, because you don't get tough fighter versus tanks.
They get 2 attacks each for lancers.
Yeah.
Yep.
12-man squad?
Yeah. So
Times 2.
You've got to roll like a god, yeah.
Yeah, plus 24. Yeah. And you'd still roll that one.
Yeah.
I can get a plus 10 out of a 5-man unit.
It's just not the same.
Yeah, you don't need it when you got bomb sticks.
Yeah, you get plus 8 anyway.
I can get plus 8 out of a 1-man unit. Fuck you.
Right, come on. Let's make like Mongolians and knock down this shitty wall.
Did you just say Mongolian? God, no.
Goddamn Mongolians.
Oh no, not Mongolians.
No, not the shitty beef.
Welcome to Shitty Whack. Can I take your order, please?
I'm going to build a wall and make the Mongolians pay for it.
Hello and welcome to the final section of this podcast. We're coming to you live from the valleys. We're the only gay in this village, and it's time for Mr. Blobby's Hobby Lobby.
Oh, my name's Daddy from the Welsh valleys.
I can't keep that up.
Mr. Hobby Lobby.
Would you like some oversized wellies and a sheep?
Oh, yes, please. Are we pretending to be Welsh or England B?
Obviously England B.
England B. How we doing in this month's Hobby Lobby? Hobby Lobby?
You very nearly went Swedish Chef then. You could hear it just creeping around the edges. You'll go, oh yeah.
I'll work on my Scandinavian accent for next time, yeah? Yeah, but their English is better than mine, so I don't feel like it would do it justice. I just have to speak just really well. And not like my usual shitty Midland accent. Ain't it?
True.
Help me, duck.
In it, mate.
I'm from Leicester.
Yo,
I was
bro.
raised properly.
I will say, though, bringing the Mr. Blobby spirit to home, did you see Luke's outfit at Not One Step Back?
What a t-shirt!
Anyone go on our Facebook page, look at the pictures we've uploaded, and there's a picture of Luke in a bright pink shirt with Mr. Blobby on the back of it, and Mr. Blobby is holding, what's his name? Noel Edmonds hostage, and it says, "Don't worry, the fack will hurt me more than it hurts you," and it's really funny.
with on the front of it, over his breast, saying "Welcome to hell."
It was good. It was subtle enough that not all of us noticed straight away. I think it was only some point in the first game that we noticed that is Luke wearing a block.
First round, we went, hang on a minute.
It was just beautiful. It's just dedication.
To be honest, Luke, because we know you're listening, that T-shirt is the only thing preventing you from getting the absolute drumming you deserve for winning.
He's joining us on the England team for the home nationals at the end of this month.
He's qualified.
He's still got a week to drop out yet.
Though I had a lot of fun by telling all the England team we've got 3.5 good players for this tournament, and just watching them all try to work out which one I meant, and it doesn't even matter. It's just all triggered. Don't worry, you're all good in your own special little ways.
So the half player's you, Tony?
Yeah, basically, yep.
Can't rely on his painting awards for this one.
They ain't worth the paint they're painted on, mate.
Look, I'll listen to you when your painting's anywhere near mine.
Mate, we all know my painting's better than yours.
No, it's not.
Dan, if
not.
your paintings get near toast, you need to get a size 8 brush, and I'm not talking normal brush. I'm talking makeup brush, and start painting.
I thought you was meaning like wall emulsion brush.
Yeah, just a roller and a pot of contrast.
You're like those really like fed up, like like these Chinese acrobats who've trained all their lives, and there's literally their only thing is being raised by the government to be good at gymnastics, to go to the Olympics and win gold, and then you lose to some really nice, sweethearted, like, I don't know, Slovakian lady or something, and you just sit, and when you're standing on the pedestal with your silver medal, and you're just like, fucking world piece of shit, man. That's you, Dan, because I'm the lovely Slovakian lady with the gold medal for best painted, because I have heart and soul, and you're just shit with your airbrush.
It's fine, actually. I usually walk away with a gold medal for the actual tournament, so...
Oh,
Shots fired.
Shots fired, indeed. I'm just going to put my bulletproof vest on over here.
I'm going to get in my bunker.
Next time you mention fucking painting awards, all I'm going to say is just go back to War Machine, you twat.
Mate, I was never good at War Machine either. What are you talking about? So hobby, what we've been doing this month? We finally got all the terrain done. I think that's where most of our.
It's basically it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I also did some commission work for DJ because he needed his King Tiger ready for the.
With your painting,
tournament.
You could have knocked that out in 20 minutes. You
And
probably did it the morning of the tournament.
Still would have won a fucking award for it.
It is a disgrace.
I've built half my British.
I did complete the painting of all my my brown clothed Belgians, but now my my paint station's packed away, so I'm going to have to abstain from a Hobby Lobby this month.
You are moving house, which, as excuses go, is a pretty good
one. Next week.
To be fair,
so
you are like,
literally
you're an
my room
army
is just
ahead of
boxes.
everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still better than Sheffy, who literally just painted half a church for his challenge. So.
What are you talking about? 1.5.
I swear one of you just dipped in sand.
No, I think in my defence, I also sorted out most of the stuff for the building.
Yeah.
So
okay.
don't get me wrong, I'm still going to obviously set myself a pledge. I'm just saying that I felt like I did enough.
Fair
I mean, you
enough.
didn't, so. As long
I
as
took all
you
those
feel like
photos.
it.
That's my contribution. Other people's models.
Yeah, but
mean,
you would have been doing that on a Saturday anyway, just, when you go dogging and everything. So
No, that's
doing it with models rather than grannies is no different. Really.
Saturdays the day that I have to spend in court.
Is it blink twice for photos? What's the code for dogging? I get confused.
It's flash your lights.
Is it flash your light? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works.
Sheffield's dad told me.
Yeah.
It's slap twice for video.
Before we go on to our pledges, shall we give Gaz a shout out for winning Best Painted at our tournament?
No.
Yeah, he did it.
But I just want to say, I tried so hard to give it to anyone but Gaz. I looked around the whole event. I was like, come on, someone's got to be better. I can't give it to him. They'll think it's a fix. But no, he had that nice display board, and he looked really cool.
There was one other army. There was one other army that wasn't that. It was brilliantly painted, but it was about 7 models, and it won the Oddball Award because it was the strangest thing.
No, he came last.
Yeah. He got
That's right. Yeah,
he came last. Yeah, so we also took into account who was in what position as well, just to make sure everyone got a different prize. So the oddball list and the bottom wooden spoon were basically up for grabs. So we decided whoever came last would give the oddball to the other one, because one was the double tiger list and the other one was the stern tiger and the panther list. And it's like, well, you're both kind of really stupid and odd in your own way. So we won't give one person 2 awards. We'll break them out. But the thing, Gaz, you're a quarter of your way on the way to me, so it's fine.
We should say that actually, when we decided we were going to do a painting award, it was for that. We wanted to make sure that the person who got it was the best painted. Like while Gaz was on a good display board. I don't care about the display board. If another army had been better painted than Gaz, I'd have wanted to give it to them. But genuinely, Gaz's was the best painted army.
Go look on our Facebook page. Sheffy's pictures are really nice, and he's got hundreds of them. So go have a look, and you can. I think is it under Not One Step Back as a follow.
Yeah, it's on the Juggernaut Bolt Action Facebook page, and it's under Not One Step Back. If you click albums, it'll be the only album that's there, I think.
Okay, cool.
And just in case you're wondering, if you want your models painted that well, Gaz does do commission. There you go. Gaz.
Whoa! I ain't fucking plugging him.
I'll plug him. I'll plug him for free.
It's fine. We've got edit software.
That dickhead's got to remember that he's running that charity event, and this over here wants to win.
I'm gonna. I think is it Splinter Bee's Hobby Workshop?
Yeah.
Is that what Gaz's commission is called? There you go.
Yeah. Cool.
So if you want to complain at him, go there.
Okay. Right. Pledges for this month. My pledge is I'm going to finish building and paint 3 Panzer IIIs.
Woo! Why?
Because they're part of my commission to
All right. Okay.
one of our mutual friends.
I was going to say you've already got about 1 billion panzers.
No, they're going to be snowy ones, not my deserty ones.
That's all right.
And I've been putting them off as long as I can because I'm just in a can't be fucked kind of mood this month. So I'm like, tanks are kind of fun. I'll do them later. But for now, I'm just like, ugh. I look at paintbrush and I'm like, ugh, because I painted the Blood Bowl team last week as well, and that was effort. So
that is how I feel looking at most of your models, mate.
Maybe you've just got really poor taste because people reward me, not you though. Hey, Sheffy, maybe you'd actually win an award if you fucking finish your armies once in a while.
Oh!
The silence is deafening.
And also
to
win painting awards, Sheffy, you need to actually go to the events where they're handed out.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So
I'm not defending you on that one.
You know, just saying.
Yeah. Go back and pay 40k.
So I'm going to build the other half of my British, and most likely that might get put off depending on what I need to take to the home nation, because I might have to build and paint for that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, if that I had to paint like 24 Strathbat for the last England team tournament. Yeah. So that might happen again because I want to win this one. England pride's at stake.
Yeah, we can't lose to England B.
Not again. Not after the first time.
Hey, we didn't lose. We drew that.
I wake up in the night with a cold sweat, like no, not England B, no.
Dan's abstaining, aren't you, Dan?
Yeah, Dan's abstaining.
Well, my goal is going to, because I painted a Blood Bowl team like Toph last month, and I did the bits for my Belgians, which I'll put up before this episode comes out. So, you know, for the magic of editing, it'll look like I've actually done the stuff beforehand. My pledge this month is just going to be to get my paint station set back up and ready to rock and roll for next month.
Very important, your paint station, your place of work, very important to keep it all clean
Number
and
one,
organised.
mate.
Yeah, mine's
Number
definitely
one.
not clean and organised, but it definitely should be. Let's all take pictures of our paint stations and let people judge us.
I mean
I can take a picture of my empty
mobile.
desk.
Well, you look really good,
very
Dan, because you can do your new one when you move house.
Yeah, I will do.
I will probably, as my pledge, because I've still got so much stuff to finish, I'm probably going to try and my Soviets, I've got about 1,500 points of fully painted infantry, and probably only about 200 or 300 points that I haven't painted, and then all my infantry will be done. So I'd kind of like to just finish that. So I've got 2,000 points, more or less, of Soviet infantry done, so I can just add bits and pieces to it whenever. Because it just feels annoying that I open up the case and 90% of it's done and 10% isn't. Because then
Story of your life, mate.
Exactly. To be honest, 90 to 10 is rare, mate. Normally it's the other way around.
Let's organise a really big bolt action game, fully painted only, 2v2. We can have like 2,000 points each, and you and me can both bring Soviets and ally up, fully painted only.
We've been over this. I really don't like you. I don't want to play. I'm only here because Pete requests it, and the sooner I can get away from the lot of you, the better.
Why are you being so mean?
No,
that is so horrible.
No, genuine.
It cuts deeper because it's true.
Thanks for coming, Sheffy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, bye-bye. It sounds like a good idea. I'm very happy to play.
I was just trying to give you like some encouragement, man, so you can have like something to inspire you, and now you can go and die in a fire.
You see all your dreams, Toph. Smashed.
Yeah.
It's fine. Only people with painting awards can be on my team. So I'll get Gaz up to play with me. Yeah, fuck you.
Sure.
That's all right. If you can have Gaz, and I could pick. Oh, no, never mind. I was going to make a joke about how your armies combined would be. No, it doesn't work. Never mind. Edit this out.
No, it's staying as punishment for you being mean to me. The end.
my brain is doing the equivalent of stalling. I couldn't think how to articulate what I was going to say.
It's getting late. It's been a long podcast. Do we have any final thoughts before we all go home and let Sheffy go to bed so we can rest his delicate little soul?
We're all going to climb into Sheffy's bed.
We could read a nighttime story.
Could do.
Yeah. I've got my kids have got some good books. I'll bring some over. It'll be nice and warm and cozy.
Nice.
As long as Sheffy promises not to touch them.
The kids are the books.
One then the other.
One's a deal breaker, the other's not.
Ouch. We've all got our pledges in. Remember, viewers, viewers?
Viewers? Jesus.
Oh, losing my mind.
We're being generous with listeners.
Well, yeah. Remember, listeners, if you're painting stuff and you want to challenge yourself, post up on our Facebook page what you're doing, and use that post as a progress thing. Because let's be honest, we all hate grey armies, but if there's progress on it, progress is good.
Yeah, we are starting to get a few more of the Hobby Lobby challenges put up on the page now. So maybe we can get a little competition going between some of the listeners every month.
Yeah, but then we got to think of rewards.
Surely it's the same reward we give to everybody else.
I will give people painting awards because I've got enough to just spare to share around now because I've got so many.
I was going to put forward a swift-handed, right?
It is so frustrating that it's only you and Pete that do the record for this, because if I was in charge of the channel, I would be kicking you from the voice channel.
And on that note, we're the Juggernauts. We all love each other, and we all love you, listeners. And I'll see you later.
Go back to War Machine.
Get back to 40k.
Jam Mongolians.
Of heaven. Do, 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 do. Play a bit of that.